Hello, everyone. Am I? Oh, there we go. Let's get the technical issues out of the way right in the beginning. No? How about now? Ah, he knows how to fix things. He's a seasoned veteran. You might see something go wrong in the stream and go, "Oh no, what's Rick gonna do?" Don't worry about it. I got it. Easy. Easy game. Look at me. You can see stuff through my shirt today. This is Art Brunch, the flagship show on the travel agency. Thank you for tuning in today. It's wonderful to have you all here. If this is your first time watching a live stream, welcome. It's fun, I promise. It's a little different. Live content has a different feel and a different energy to it than, you know, like an old movie that you watched on a VHS tape. You're here with us. You feel it. You might have questions. You can ask questions. We can see them, and we'll answer them. Cash Stream, what's up? Good to see you. So, a little bit about the travel agency. I like to start off every show with this. The travel agency's mission is to nurture a digitally native platform that hosts contemporary art making, produces art-centered entertainment, and provides digital residencies with multimedia exhibition opportunities for emerging artists. If you're interested in collaborating with the travel agency, you can check out these links that I'm going to pop in the chat here. Each week, Art Brunch hosts a member of the art community to talk about contemporary art in a casual way. So, one of the big things for me is contemporary art is often veiled in secrecy and in etiquettes, and there's kind of like an like if you know kind of vibe to it, which I think is helpful sometimes and makes sense because it is a small community. But I think it's also important to challenge that, to challenge institutions that provide like art media and kind of like reconsider how we can frame contemporary art in a way that's like accessible and entertaining to more people than just the people who know, you know? I've got a co-host that I want to introduce. The the man with the plan. That's pretty lame. Um, Jake the Snake. No, that's been done. Uh, I'm just gonna. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
Uh, I could be seeing in school there was so Jake Peach,
Hmm.
Jake Beach, Jake Bleach. That I got that a lot.
Okay.
Snaky
It's a bit
Jake,
of a reach.
Jake, Jakey Cake, a lot of Jakey, a lot of those.
Yeah.
Jakey Wakey. That was one thing. That was not
Is
ideal,
that? Did
but
your mom say that?
no, actually, it's funny you say that because the day that my mom knew that she couldn't possess me forever, that it was like I was 5, 6, 7 or something, and we were at like the community pool, and my neighbor Sarah Strayhorn, shout out Sarah Strayhorn, what a great name, which I always thought she was a character from Land Before Time. Anyway, she apparently, like, I was like at the pool, and from across the pool my mom just hears, "Oh, Jakey Wakey." I was like, who is this hussy coming for my boy? Where is he? Where is she? Who is this? Um, and so,
Wow.
yeah, that was a moment in time. So Jakey Wakey is reserved for that space, but now I'm sure
Uh,
literally I'm gonna regret saying that because people in the chat will make fun of my rosacea
hmm.
and make fun of my name. But yeah, feel free to drop some Jakey Wakeys in the chat, y'all, if
Yeah.
you want.
Miss Denise Hewlett says Jakey-boy.
Or Jakey Boy. That's what my grandpa calls me, which
Jakey
is cute.
boy.
Yeah, I like that one.
Um, why is my background empty? My background glitched out, and I don't know. I feel like I'm streaming from some
The
sort of
void.
like some sort of abyss. Like I really
Rick is in
wanted
the void.
I really wanted my background to reflect how I feel on the inside. And then on the outside, I'm showing you, what I try. I try to be bright and bubbly, but on the
Hmm.
inside, it's just pitch black.
We got some new material for y'all today.
Um,
Literally.
Yeah, so lots of changes. President Lincoln, welcome. Jakey Wakey, yeah, President
Mhm.
Lincoln. There you go.
Thank you.
Our
Thank you.
Streamlabs bot is definitely spamming you guys with the things to do today.
Hmm.
And Jake is back in the normal room, so
I am.
we're all here together. Things are
Back in
working out.
Studio One here. Studio A.
Jake, if you had to predict, wow, this Streamlabs thing is a lot. Hopefully that chills out. Jake, if you had to predict what our stream is going to be like with one word, what would that our stream today? What do you think that word would be?
Out of this world.
Oh,
And that's one word. That
it's
is one word.
hyphenated. Yeah.
It was. It's a one phrase. How about that? One
Oh,
phrase.
one phrase.
I'll say
Yeah.
that. I'll say out of this world.
Okay. Great.
Cool. I promise there's a reason why I said that. But anyway, we'll get to that.
To get to that, we have a guest today.
We sure do.
Our guest's name is Jasmine Raskas. I have a brief bio and artist statement here. Jasmine is a self-taught artist with a background in science. Her art explores the emergent patterns found in natural growth, form, and collective systems. With elements of archetypal myth and a dash of futurism, her work seeks to create a language that crosses all barriers of time, space, and culture. Out of the studio, she works as an art facilitator at Artists First Studio, and as a professional coach working with groups and individuals to use the power of art and imagination for personal growth. Her artist statement reads, "Art is my quest for knowledge. The sciences and humanities each look at the world through their own lens, but don't offer a way to synthesize a broader view of existence. I use painting as a tool to organize and collect patterns." Everybody, warm welcome to Jasmine. Hello, Jasmine. Welcome.
Hi, Jasmine.
Thank you guys so much for having me today.
Absolutely.
We're
I feel like
excited.
we need like an applause sample or something when people come on because
Yeah.
they deserve it. It's a big deal, and there's no way to celebrate it publicly. So we need to get a little sample pop button, something.
I think.
Get those clappers.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just put it right next to the mic.
Digga, 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 digga. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
I think that sound effects is like such a scary, awesome potential thing to have on the show because they're just gonna get misused.
Very much. Yeah. I think it's
Uh,
probably best we don't have them. In my possession, certainly. If anything, I will misuse them. Absolutely.
Marge Mole in the chat says, "Jazzy pants." Welcome, Marge. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for reaching out with that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm curious, Jasmine. What are some nicknames, some funny names you've had in your life?
Jazzy J,
mm.
Jazz, Jazzy. Not too there. Jasmine just
We're
comes
keeping
with
it simple.
Jazzy or
Yeah.
Jazz, pretty much.
I mean, I did not
I
connect that at all. I was like, why is somebody writing jazzy pants? Is this because we're streaming in the just chatting category? Like, is this the beginning
No,
of
no,
the
I
end?
know Margaret.
yeah, yeah.
Great.
Margaret. Hey. Yes, I thought I recognized that name. Shout out to Margaret. Rick, have you had any names like that? What are
Names?
your nicknames? What are your Rick names?
Yeah. There's this whole thing where like, so one that stands out is my other friend Jake. Don't get
No way.
jealous.
I won't. I promise. I'll try.
I actually talk to you and him equally, and it produces a lot of problems in my life as I'm trying to tell Tiffany things that is going on in my life.
I think you're literally inventing this just to make me upset because I've never heard you say this once in your life.
I've been keeping it from you. I wanted to make sure we were very, very
And so now you're gonna
stable.
tell me publicly in front of all of our friends and the world, which is a good space.
So my buddy Jake Resch, he and I had this conversation one time where there was this funny meme on the internet that was like, your porn star name is your middle name and the street that you grew up on.
Okay.
And mine is Henry Spanish. And I think it's pretty good.
Henry Spanish is a great name.
It's vibes, right?
That is some vibes.
So yeah, he has me as that in his phone, and that continues to this day.
Wow.
What would your porn star name be, Jake?
In that case, it would be Zachary Amesbury, which is
Oh
weird.
God.
I've lived on many different streets, so I actually there's possibly a better one. It would be like Zachary Roseberry, Zachary
No,
Antler.
Amesbury is really fitting. Really, really fitting.
We'll stay with Amesbury. Jasmine, what would your porn star name be in that case? Middle name, street you grew up on.
Leia Cornell.
Wow,
See, it's clutch.
it works.
It's a clutch
That's
system.
excellent.
I know if I ever need an alter ego or something.
Yeah.
That's perfect. It's ready to go. Wow. I'm glad we got that established, and also to know that there's this inferior Jake in your life.
Yeah. Hmm.
Clearly a Jake 2, we'll say, maybe.
I knew him before I knew you, which is interesting to think about.
All right, well, we'll talk about this backstage.
So for those of you that are getting spammed by my Streamlabs bot in chat, I just changed it. So I was something new we're trying out. You know, we want to tell people to subscribe to our YouTube, to follow our channel, to donate if they want to donate. But I don't want you seeing it every 3 messages. So thanks for bearing with me as we adjust that. Now I just set them at random numbers that were much larger than I had them at. Yeah, so I think, but I'm not really I don't know. Nicknames don't tend to stick on me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think it might just have something to do with my persona, or I don't know, my standoffishness.
I got you.
Um,
I do think, speaking of backgrounds, though.
Oh,
we need to
yeah.
talk about Jasmine's amazing background.
Obviously.
because I said this just before the show, and I will say it now publicly. It is easily the most curated one we've had, which is ironic because we always have artists on the show, and most of the time, with all due respect to our former guests, no one's got anything on Jasmine. This
Yeah.
is an amazing background,
hmm
and would love to know all about it.
Oh, thank you.
So
It's my latest
ahead.
work in progress. Is
Mm.
the main painting, and then this sculpture I just finished last night, and I'm super
incredible.
excited
I love that.
about this plant. It's a house plant.
Wow.
It is in a house. Is it in a house? Are you in a house right now?
No, not really. I'm in my studio.
It's a studio plant.
It's an inside plant.
I see.
Okay,
I've
so
been
this
thinking
blue
about.
piece, the plant.
Oh. Sorry, 1 second.
Frozen on my end.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
see. Are y'all frozen?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I
We're back.
I am frozen.
Yes, go ahead, Rick.
Yep.
Sorry.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yes.
hear? Okay. My stream dropped. So
Okay.
let's wait for that to come back. I don't know
Okay.
what this variability is. Okay, there we go. We're coming back. Yeah, just a little stream drop there. So yeah, I have been thinking about like the cast stream says stick bowling. I don't think that that's a really good nickname.
It got me good.
So yeah, like we want to support artists who come on the show with, with giving them tools and expertise to, be prepared for streaming. And that's something I've been thinking about a lot. And I was actually going to go out and purchase some headsets for artists, for the next couple of artists, so they can, I can give it to them and get them back and just make it really easy on people. But then I realized that the next 2 people we have it on is Jasmine, who has her own podcast and literally has the same audio setup that we use. And then the next one is Cast Stream, which he doesn't need any help with anything microphone related. So it's okay, cool. I've got 2 more weeks to figure that out before it potentially becomes an issue. But yeah, so Jasmine, you have been familiarizing yourself with this because you do a podcast and you're also doing a virtual painting event coming up.
Yeah, wall ball.
Wall ball. Yeah, live painting. So there's 40 different artists that are all doing like live painting, and I'm not sure about its structure, but it's pretty cool that it's virtual this year.
Yeah, this year there's actually there's 10 people that are live streaming, and I think 40, I think total of 50 people, maybe, I'm not sure, but I think
Okay.
40 other people that are doing their painting,
Okay,
and all
cool.
of it is to help raise funds for Artscope.
Nice.
Awesome.
So everyone should check it out, and it's free to sign up for the virtual event. This year, usually tickets are kind of pricey, but the event's awesome. This is my 3rd year doing it.
Yeah. Great. So we encourage people who are interested in seeing some of that happen. And that's really akin to some of the stuff that we share here on this channel, live painting. And it hasn't been happening as much. It's been a lot more like art media and art entertainment. But I think that sharing creative practice live is really exciting. How have your experiences been with wall ball, like sharing your painting practice live in the past?
I love it because it forces me to like have to get my thoughts organized and like I try to get most of the painting done in that 4-hour chunk. So
Mm.
it's actually a lot of more than 4 hours of planning usually
Mm-hmm.
of like
Yeah.
testing things because I don't want to mess up a texture in the middle of the 4 hours and have to. I mean, I'd go with it, but yeah, it's a fun challenge. I'm not really great at talking to people while they paint, so I just kind of go in the zone and accept that. But
Mm.
it's a good energy.
That's fair.
Yeah. Because I think, even like running, like this is a perfect example. Rick is talking to a producer. I have a moment to now speak to you and maintain the conversation, and requires 2 people. So
Mhm.
then you also add actually trying to paint on top of that is insane. So I think you've got the right mindset of just like it's gonna be what it's gonna be, and just
Yeah.
focus on the work at hand for sure. No, that's awesome.
All right, y'all want to hop over to our canned crucible today?
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so we got this Pabst Blue Ribbon hard coffee beverage.
I'm very excited for this.
It's really pretty. I like the look. I like the vibe.
Shout out PBR. Let's get Virgil in the chat. Let's get him.
It
out here.
matches my plant.
Oh,
It does. Look at that.
that was
Excellent blue.
predictive.
What blue is this called? Do you know the name of the paint? Jasmine blue.
Ribbon blue.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jake, you want to take us through the can copy here, and then we'll get a group pop?
I sure will. Do we want to get Virgil in here?
What's that?
Virgil video. A little video of Virgil.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. What's wrong with me?
We gotta get us in the vibe. That poor sweet boy.
That's how we do Can Crucible.
All right, so welcome to Can Crucible, y'all. We're gonna start off with a little bit of can copy of this can, and there actually is a little bit of it, which is nice because I hate when we get here and there isn't any. This is the original Pabst Blue Ribbon hard iced coffee with a dash of milk. Oh, Rick, did you know that?
No.
Oh, Rick is vegan, so that's
Yeah.
an issue.
Interesting.
Okay.
Keep going.
Rick.
And I picked
Oh,
this
no.
one out.
Oh no, this Java brew balanced a rich, creamy blend with a whipped vanilla flavor. Oh no, and right below there it says contains milk. Okay. Well, Rick, if you need to sit this MF out, I totally get it, and we can do that.
I think that okay.
This is a first. This is live, y'all.
So there are a couple of things that come to mind. Is I refer to myself as vegan, but it's kind of a lie because like I'm mostly just plant-based.
Yeah.
Like I'm not it was Virgil's birthday over the summer and I had a little we gave him some salmon for his birthday, my cat. And I had a little piece of salmon because it was his birthday cake.
Oh.
So I had a little piece of salmon, you know. I bought a leather good since I went vegan. So I don't really qualify myself as like a hard vegan. The other problem is that potentially I'm allergic to milk now.
Yeah.
Which is a
was
thing
more
I
your
experienced.
thought.
Yeah.
Less so your principles, more so your body's reaction to it.
Yeah. But maybe I can rock a little bit of it.
Yeah, just a sippy poo. maybe. And I'll never say that word again. Yeah, well, let's get the group pop for no other reason. No further ado. Ready, team? 3, 2. That's nice.
I'm
yeah,
always.
This literally smells like
Oh,
hot
it
chocolate.
smells very milky.
Yeah.
Is there a process to this? Do I
You have to sniff, yeah.
smell it?
Yeah,
Okay.
You gotta smell it.
Yeah.
It smells exactly like canned Starbucks
Totally.
coffee.
It really does.
I don't know. It smells really milky.
Bro, it's so milky.
It smells really milky.
It's like it's basically coffee flavored milk with a tiny hint of alcohol at the end, like a little hint of permanent marker at the end.
Yep, that's got the classic milk tang. That's got the tang of milk that I didn't know existed until I didn't have it for a period of time.
And tang is 100% the correct word to use in this case. Okay, well, Rick, you know what? Are you just gonna be the ledger of this one?
I mean, I just drank it.
Well, a little bit. I think amount will shift your whole day and week, maybe even your month or year, you know? And I'll be there for you.
Well, I
but
mean,
all
I
I'm
can
saying
rate
is-
it because I had it.
That's true.
You said I just sipped it for nothing?
Yeah, you got to sit out now.
You need to take
One sip
3
doesn't
gulps if you want to rate around
That's
here.
true. They do say that. I've heard that if you have to try something 3 times to fully lather your palate.
I will not be gulping.
Yeah, definitely not.
Okay, so Jasmine, we rate these things on 3 flavor metrics. We got flavor, mouthfeel, and emotion. So we rate these things on a scale of 1 to 1,000. So that's the framework you're working in.
Okay.
1,000, baby. Let's go.
Now it's just so normal to me that I think I slide it past guess. I don't give it enough credence. I'm just like, yeah, we rate these things on a scale of 1 to 1,000. And then people are like, that's weird, but okay.
That's a weird amount.
I get overwhelmed by 1 through 10.
Yeah.
I need 1 through 5.
So, yeah, Jasmine, what would talk to us about the flavor a little bit and give us a rating on the scale.
Okay. So the flavor, it does actually taste really similar to canned Starbucks drinks, like the vanilla double shot latte that they have in a can. It's very smooth. It doesn't taste very alcoholic. But it also doesn't taste very much like coffee, which is slightly disappointing because I like coffee. So I think overall I will give it a 623.
623. It's a
Yeah.
solid score. I'm happy you're using all 3 numbers available to you. That's a professional score there.
I like that. So yes, I completely agree. It tastes like I'm more familiar with the Starbucks Frappuccino in a glass bottle. It's very much that vibe. I also recently went through a McDonald's and got iced coffee.
A McCafe?
I don't know if it's a McCafe, if it's iced coffee.
Oh.
But what I found out is it's like if you order it, that means it has cream and sugar in it.
Yeah.
But if you want an iced coffee, you have to say no cream and sugar. So it's assumed
intense.
in the McDonald's world that cream and sugar comes with an iced coffee every time. And I think that is the exact same mindset with this drink, because a hard coffee to me is coffee and PBR, and that would be it. The idea that there's milk involved at all, I'm like, okay, that is latte land. That's something else. That's cream and sugar land.
Mm.
So I'm actually I don't know if I'm just now new to the world of this and I need not judge it, but I also feel like it is almost literally false advertising. So, but that's not what we're really talking about. Flavor wise, I do like it. It is good, but there is barely any coffee and barely any alcohol. So I'm going 333.
Wow.
That is, I mean,
Yeah.
those felt right. Rick,
Okay.
how about you? And I noticed you took another sip while I was talking. So I was really concerned about that.
I think we all have reasons to be concerned.
Yes.
I think that it's really hard. It's really hard I think in some ways you're right, Jake. It's next to impossible for me to give this a rating with the confusion and the anxiety that I'm facing by drinking it.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, false advertising. Really, I think that it should
Almost.
be bigger. Should be bigger words on the box. I don't even know if they made it clear. I just don't associate milk with coffee, and maybe that's my fault. I just think
Well, see,
that
that's what I'm saying.
coffee
Like,
is coffee.
Yeah. Like, coffee is coffee. I know you can order it black, and I'm of course a pretentious jerk
Mhm.
who likes to go to third wave coffee places.
Right, right,
So if
right.
I order like an Ethiopian or something,
Yeah,
and it's like it's just gonna be black.
not a
There's no-
Rwanda.
Yeah, apparently that's some insider
I'm
baseball.
giving it a 168.
168.
Yeah.
That's low. Well, I'm curious as a side question because this is an interesting intersection. Jasmine, what are your go-to coffee stuff? What do you do? Like, I think it has to do with mouthfeel a lot.
I mean, I just drink black coffee usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coffee.
And the coffee that you purchase for the home, let's say, where are you getting that typically? Where are you procuring that?
I don't buy the most exciting coffee.
Okay. Neither do I.
Okay.
Whatever's around at the grocery store. Sometimes whatever's on sale.
For sure. Okay.
Gets the
'Cause
job
Rick, I
done.
feel like you're the
Middle
best
grade
for-
coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find some stuff that I like. I'm into coffee. I'm into the bean, light roasts always. But yeah, I feel like we're really kind of coming down on Jasmine here. The first time on the show, and I'm having this like existential crisis with this beverage, and I just want to apologize.
It's a rare moment. I mean, for this, we're doing it real.
So Jasmine,
I hope you're
don't
here
let
with us.
what we're saying or what I'm saying influence your rating. I'm perfectly happy people that like things that I don't like eat milk, drink milk, any kind of method of ingesting milk. What would you give it on a mouthfeel rating? They're sipping. I guess I should sip.
Mouthfeel, is that like, I mean, it doesn't have any texture. It's just like how does it feel?
It's really up to you.
Okay. There's something that I don't like about the aftertaste. Is weird. It's got a weird, and I know that should have been in taste, but for some reason I feel like that's in feel.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely a feel thing for sure.
And it's like bitter, weird.
Mm.
Just reminds me of like something industrial, which is not usually ever something you want in your drink.
Very against
So-
industrial drinks.
I think for the feel, I would say 312.
312.
Well,
Okay.
I'm in the 312 right now, actually.
Oh.
Oh, look at me.
Everyone's yelling at me in chat every time I take a sip.
Good, because I want to yell at you, but I don't want to interrupt anyone, especially Jasmine. I do not want to interrupt you, but I'm like, stop taking a sip.
Jake, what you got?
Yeah, mouthfeel. My mouth is coated with milk, and I usually rock almond milk. So knowing that this is either whole or 2% or even skim is just like not a vibe. And again, it doesn't taste like beer. It doesn't taste like coffee. This is basically a mocha with 2% in it, and it bums me out. So mouthfeel feels coated. Hated it. I'm going with 168.
168. Great. Yeah, it's going to be just a straight 0 for me on that one.
We were given no other option.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing.
Yeah, you really need to stop. Rick, please stop. And then our last metric is emotion, Jasmine. Where would you rate this from 1 to 1,000, or I guess 0 to 1,000, on your emotions of this drink?
Just like how I feel about it.
Totally up to you.
Okay. I'll give it a 2.15. I don't feel very good about it because it reminds me of when I was in high school and I used to drink way too much caffeine and it would just buy gross, weird caffeine.
Yeah, for sure.
So that brings back that emotion to me.
Just being in high school and over caffeinated and just freaking out. I totally get it.
Just drinking gross drinks.
Yeah, gross
But
drinks.
I didn't know were gross yet. I wasn't like paying attention.
Totally. I totally feel that.
Jake Castream in the chat says, okay, milk in beer is gross in theory, but creamy beers can taste good. I think that's a question for you to field. Or not, it's not really a question, really. It's a statement for you to field since you're wearing the hoodie.
Since I'm wearing the hoodie?
Since you're wearing a hoodie.
Oh, since I'm wearing a hoodie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, as the resident guy with a beard, a big bushy, annoying beard. Yeah, no, I agree. Like there's like peanut butter milkshake beers that are made locally in St. Louis that are apparently really good. I never purchase those beverages. That does not speak to me at all. However, I know that lots of people enjoy them, and especially like freshly like poured from my spout is going to be next level. And so I don't knock that at all, and I encourage it amongst smaller breweries, and I think that they do it right. And Cashed, I feel you, and I am curious. And maybe what would be really interesting is like vegan milk-based beers and like doing like kind of like an almond milk beer, because that I would be all over.
Yeah.
Especially like
Never even thought
that's
of
why
that.
I kind of avoid Guinness because I don't really like the big thick beers really. But like if they did that, but kind of with like an almond vibe, I don't know if that would be next level. One last thing I want to say is when I went to the store to buy this alcohol, they said that, do you want the PBR hard coffee or do you want the PBR cold brew?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the difference comes of whether or not milk is in it, which is, again, a farce, but whatever. And I'm really curious now if the hard cold brew is different, and I'd be curious to see what that is. Anyway, we went with the hard coffee. Here it is. My emotions are extreme.
Mm-hmm.
So where that goes
You
in
like
a
that?
rating,
Like, because of this?
because of this. This is a moment. We're having a moment.
Oh no, you're still drinking it.
Rick, what's wrong with you, bro? Someone stop this man. I'm gonna call Tiffany and get the producer in there and just take the beverage away from him. This has been great conversation. So I'm giving emotion 1,000. I'm feeling high. I'm feeling great. This is wonderful.
Denise,
Rick, how do
Denise
you
asks,
feel?
can you taste the PBR at all?
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
And Cash says, I say all this, but I don't drink alcohol, really, so. And then is yelling at me, calling me sick Rick.
Just sick.
Yeah,
Sicko mode is what you're about to be right now.
I think that it's a good vibe.
Okay, bro, Rick. Right here, bro. Right here. You gotta stop. You have to. It's not funny. It's not good. You're gonna be in so much pain.
No,
You
it
have
is.
2 more hours of show to do.
It is funny.
How long have you been in
No, it's funny. Yeah. No, it's funny. Don't worry. It's just water.
Jesus Christ.
You can give it a solid 500.
500.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Rick, tell us about the veganism. How long have you been a vegan?
Or
About a
vegan-ish.
year. Yeah.
Veganish. It's been good so far.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep going too, cause,
Wait, hold on.
What?
Wait, when you poured that out, it looked clear.
Yeah, it's water, bro. It's water,
Did you empty it?
bro. It's just water. How is water not vegan?
Okay, Willy Wonka. What are you doing over here?
What are you talking about? I
With
told
your
you.
shirt, you're in the void. You're doing prank drinks now. What is happening?
I was just trying to get a drink of water, bro.
Wait, is this liquid clear? It's not clear at all. This is milky.
What are you talking about?
No. Yeah, it's
Did you empty the can and put water in it?
Dude, this is just water in the can. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, I'm out. I don't know what we're gonna do. Oh my God, Jasmine,
So I'm gonna calculate those scores
This is
and send
too
it over
much.
to
We have to
you
move
for
on.
the Astro Corner. Thanks, Jake.
The
I'm gonna
Astro
calculate
Nook.
these. Oh yeah, the Astro Nook.
Yes.
Thanks. I'm gonna calculate these. Let's calculate these scores over here.
Okay. Hi, Jasmine. Welcome back to reality. Rick's gonna go into the abyss for a while. You told me before the show that you are a Scorpio, which I believe we've had one other person who's a Scorpio, I think, but I don't remember who it was, and I'm not actually sure if that happened. So you're more than likely, possibly, one of the very few Scorpios on the show. And to give us a little taste of the Scorpios in the world, we like to talk about which rappers are most associated with your sign. So in your case with Scorpio, and there's some top people here. We've got Drake, we've got Lil Peep, NLE Choppa, excuse me, Tyga, Future, Pooh Shiesty, Diddy, Lil Boozy, Nelly, STL represent, French Montana, Nav, Vanilla Ice, Tech Nine, Fabulous, B.O.B., and I'll end with Schoolboy Q and E40. So we've got a lot of actually like, it's so interesting because I feel like a lot of rappers are fire signs. You are a water sign, a fixed water sign as a Scorpio. And it absolutely makes sense that Drake, to me, would be a Scorpio. He's a very emotional man. He's very much in his feelings. I think I don't know. He brings a certain soul, a certain care that I think a water sign most associates with life. And according to the internet, some Scorpio traits, both strengths, weaknesses, however you may say them, we're going to call them traits. We have resourceful, brave, passionate, stubborn, and a true friend. We also, though, have distrusting, maybe jealous, secretive, or even violent. Now,
Wow.
these terms can mean them in any way. Like you can violently want Rick to stop drinking this drink that's making him sick. Something
fair
like
play.
that, not physical violence. But I'm curious though, so with those kind of in mind, those rappers in mind, your fixed water sign, this idea of you like truths and facts and being right, you dislike revealing secrets, dishonesty, you're resourceful, you're brave, you're passionate. How do you feel any of those things have come up in your work or in your practice?
Oh, definitely passionate.
Hmm.
That's a big one.
Okay. Why that word specifically?
The intensity that I go into something with.
Okay. So you're coming in hot no matter what you do, or is it like once you get rolling with something, it just picks up steam?
I have to be into it. But once I
Okay.
care about it, I take it on like with full force, like
Full
a
force.
big energy.
Okay, gotcha.
Like I literally don't know how to just do anything like halfway or like sort of do it or just try it once. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this whole thing, get really into it, feel it all, like dream about it
For sure.
or
Oh,
not do it.
amazing. And is that like a more recent passion, or has that always been the case for you? Like that level of passion?
It's always been the case.
Always been the case. Okay,
Shifting topics, still shifting topics.
gotcha. Because Rick tends to move into artistic beginnings after this point. We kind of talked about where people started. So I'm curious that kind of space of like, this idea of the passion and all those things. Like, is the passion like only in your art practice too? Like,
No.
is this kind of also follows you into other spaces?
Yeah, it follows me everywhere,
Okay.
I think.
So like when you do the dishes, you do the MF dishes. Like
Yeah.
you're like
I am kind of an extremist, even in my cleaning.
yes. A cleaning extremist.
I mean,
No,
sometimes I don't clean though. But when I do, I do.
so it's kind of like a binary. It's on or it's off. There's no in between.
Yeah, and it's something that it's also like a big hindrance in my life, so I'm like very aware of it
Gotcha.
this time.
And are you able to harness that passion? Meaning like I know that if I do that, I will do that wholesale. And I know that I shouldn't, whatever that may be. Like maybe eat a whole bag of candy. Or also maybe like pursue an art thing that you want to get to, but you know you need to do this first, but like you're feeling it over here. Like can you control the passion too?
Yeah, I think pretty well.
Okay. Because I know with great power comes great responsibility. So we have to consider like our ability to control our tendencies, being resourceful, brave, and passionate specifically.
Yeah, no, that's
Um,
actually really relevant.
okay, wonderful. Okay. That kind of ends my little Scorpio Nook. We kind of got in, got out, and that felt good.
Good.
But it makes a lot of sense, and we'll be keeping in our feels and keeping our passion high for the rest of this conversation. Rick, where are
Yeah.
we at with the rating for the beverage? What did we end up with?
We ended up with a 368.7.
Wow, that is
It's
very
pretty low.
but it makes sense. I
Yeah.
think. So
Couple of things here.
Yeah.
Wendy L, thanks for the subscription with the tier 1. Appreciate it. Enjoy access to those tier 1 emotes and, legit status in our Twitch community. Denise says, extremist, yes. Way to own your superpowers.
ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, there that compulsion, I think, goes often with people who want to make things, people who are creative. Like, there seems to often be this urge to, there is like having enough of a good thing, and then there's like wanting even more of that good thing. And
Mhm.
I feel like that theme comes up for me a lot in the projects that I'm working on, is like when I get into a rhythm or when I'm feeling it, I just step, deeper and deeper into it. As long as it's like continuing to keep me healthy and, and I'm taking care of all of those things. But I don't know, do you all think that that's a trait that everybody would say that they had, or is that a trait that you think is more synonymous with artists?
Well, I just do want to say this as a pre-statement to that statement. I'm a mutable water sign, where Jasmine, you are a fixed water sign. So like I have a zillion paths, and I always struggle with the fact that like I want to do all of them at once, and then I end up half-assing like so many things. So it takes someone like Rick, who is cardinal air, who has this like leadership energy, to be like, bro, we need to do X, Y, Z, and then I'm like, okay, thank you, because once I am focused, I can do it, I can get there, but I do need someone to kind of get me there. I need some guidance. But you seem to have that kind of built in to your system already. And Rick, you're saying like artists specifically, do they have that ability or not? Is that what you're saying? I'm sorry.
No, but I think that the point that you bring up is good. So yeah, I guess let's stick with that question, because I am curious, like Jasmine, of how you feel that your built-in direction or your built-in leader kind of motivates you or helps you categorize, or as Denise says, channel the muse in your life and in your practice.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've always known that I have this tendency. I don't ever. I remember even in, just trying to get my homework done and things like that. Like, I just know that I have, like, if I don't get into it, like, it will not happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I learned how to prioritize things.
Mm.
I mean, it doesn't always work. I'm not saying that I'm like
Yeah.
a success, but I'm functioning, so
Yeah, no, I mean, functioning is a success
functioning's
for
good.
so much. Yeah, for so many people, absolutely. Um, yeah, that's interesting. You said homework too, because oof, God, when it came to homework, I'm like, this is literally the last thing I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and it would always be like until the very last second. Like I unfortunately was very much the like, okay, the paper's due tomorrow, Jake. It's like, okay, now I need to, because someone gave me that direction, and like, I don't know where I would be if I could just like actually harness it and just do like 10% every day, like they told you to.
Sounds
Like,
terrible.
Jasmine, are you able to do that? Like with your harnessing, like, can you do like, I'm gonna do 10% today and then move to the next thing, or is it like I'm just whole ass in this thing until it's done?
I've gotten a lot better as the years go by at like chunking things into
Okay.
10%, but I can't be like I'm gonna do 10%. I can be like I'll do somewhere between 5 and 30%, like
Okay.
to give
For
myself
sure.
a range.
Yeah.
But I know like with homework, I actually really like learning. So my problem is I would just get really distracted
Mm-hmm.
about like learning the thing instead of doing the homework.
Yeah, well, which is ironic because that's exactly what they want you to do, supposedly, is to learn.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do I have to get this dumb assignment done? Like, I'm actually learning so much more by like just getting into it, and you've made it exciting, and I want to learn, you know.
Yeah.
But we don't have time to get into the whole school system
I
of the United
somehow
States. But
I rarely remember ever doing homework, and I don't know how I pulled that off. I don't know what. When I
yeah,
think back, I just like think I'm sure I was assigned things, but I do not remember doing them. I mean, I didn't get good grades, so I probably didn't do it. I think a lot of what I did in that was I would get the syllabus and I would calculate exactly what I needed to do to get like a C. And then I would like if I didn't have to do a particular assignment, then I just wouldn't do it because I
well,
was just
That's strategic.
I
heading
mean,
towards the
C's get
C.
degrees, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
what they.
No, I don't know. It's always weird when I think about that because I feel like I did have homework, but I just don't ever remember doing it.
Yeah.
So maybe I just didn't do it. Just talked
Well,
my
and it's
way out
funny
of
to
it.
Yeah, it's funny to talk about homework because I associate it with high school more so than anything. And a quick fun fact: Jasmine and I went to the same high school, and actually
Oh
at
yeah.
the same time, but just in different grades. We didn't really know each other, but we had mutual friends and people. So this is very much a coming together, and I'm just throwing this in right before our first break coming up.
Yeah.
But
Transitions
so
us into creative beginnings maybe when we come
exactly.
back. Yeah.
But Jasmine, when I think of school, I think it's fun that you and I are thinking of the exact same school.
That
Like
is funny.
we're thinking of assignments from probably the exact same teachers and everything. So
Mhm.
because like especially like with papers, like our school, we would meet with teachers and have like conferences on our papers, and we'd like edit it during our lunch hour and stuff. Like those were things I actually really enjoyed. And I think you're more of a scientist, which I'm sure we'll get into with all of that, but like more science interested maybe. But um, I failed very hard with math and science, so I don't really think about that stuff very much. But it is the same building and teachers involved with our memories, which I think is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's like very full circle.
Yeah, for sure.
Good. Well, maybe we head to our first break here, and I'll switch over to my screen. We will see you over there. So thanks for watching so far, being involved in this show. We've got some really cool, exciting art stuff that we're going to be talking about, showing work. You've seen a sample of Jasmine's work behind her. We'll get more into kind of the nitty-gritty, the generation of the work, where some of these forms come from, and where they're going soon. So we're going to take a short break. We break for about 10 minutes each time. On that break, I encourage you to take some deep breaths or maybe eat a Twizzler or maybe lint roll your shirt, just kind of depending on how you want to head into the next section of the show. So yeah, we will see you back here around 11:08. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome us back. I'm still in the void, coming to you live. Just feeling feelings, thinking thoughts, calculating numbers. I can see Jake in my peripherals. Anytime I need to do a monologue, I need to just scoot this window over this one, so then I can talk without shame. I am working from a deficit today, and I do admit, though. So the rest of the day, I'm going to be really kind and loving, and I'm going to have my tail between my legs a bit. Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Rick. How are you?
Great having you all here. Was the break restful? Was it life-giving? How was the break?
I feel good. Jasmine, how about you? You feel good with the break? You felt good?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. Get up and stretch.
Yeah,
For sure.
gotta have a little break.
Yeah. Stretch the hammies a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So when we left, oh yeah, we were talking about the fact that you all went to the same high school.
Yep.
And we do like to begin these conversations with the artist, with you, Jasmine, kind of framing for us like how creativity or painting or making things um, first started to manifest in your young life. Like, did, did you draw when you were a kid? Like, what was art's role in your life before you were like age 10?
I know I was making a lot of things. I don't know if they were art or not,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess that would be where my creativity was manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wasn't into drawing and painting. I didn't start painting until I was like 14.
Mm.
So I was more of like a builder of things. Like
Like
I'm trying to
Legos? Like
Yeah, I'm trying to even figure out how to describe it. Like it wasn't even anything planned a lot of the time. Like I would just go out in nature and like build things with sticks.
Okay.
Um Also like anytime like any form of play for me was almost always building or like arranging things.
Mm-hmm.
Um like all my little Polly Pockets. I would buy the house, but then I would like renovate the whole house and like sew these little like pillowcases for the beds. like
Yeah,
and then
wow.
my Beanie Babies all had like I would make like a poem that went with every Beanie Baby and it had like 200.
Oh my
Mm.
like
God, wow. You should release that collection at some point. I'd love to
I
read that.
still I don't know where that is, but I pulled all the tags off,
Oh
Oh,
no, no.
much to the
wrote them.
dismay.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to describe, but definitely always building things, making a mess in my house. Yeah.
Well, that is the canvas of the child is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I feel like at some point it's just what can I physically touch, and now it's what I do. So for
Yeah, and I
sure,
mean, I liked art when I had it in school. Uh, so just whatever, a maker, I guess.
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
then later in life, I learned how to draw cool because that's usually what I would do. I'd just like doodle all
Oh,
day.
okay,
Mm.
for sure.
It seems like there's an element of like caretaking involved in what you were talking about is like building the structures and taking care of these inanimate objects. Does that
Mhm.
resonate with you?
Yeah, actually, I've never thought about it like that, but it there's something similar about that to the way that I approach what I'm doing now, where it's like these are my little worlds,
Mm.
and like there's almost like an animate quality to it in some ways, or like
For sure.
a friendliness.
Yeah. Yeah, even just thinking about the work that's behind you and the way that it
That's what I was
looks like a
thinking.
dollhouse in a way
It
of like
does.
this trippy like 5D dollhouse, this like DMT dollhouse, but like a dollhouse nonetheless, right?
Yeah, I like that. That's a good name for the collection. DMT dollhouses.
There you go. People would buy those. That'd be great.
Yeah, Justin Beechler's into it.
I'm curious and to kind of extend the early beginnings question, like
Mm-hmm.
when and at the particular school that we went to at Clayton High School,
Mhm.
were you like taking the art classes in high school? Because that's something at least I to preface, like I've never like I took a or two, one or two classes or something, but then there was like the kids who like lived in the art wing and like I feel like I was a musician, but I didn't wasn't in the jazz band. I was maybe an artist, but I like didn't take art classes, and I felt like a lot of my creative entity was outside of school. And I imagine yours definitely was out of school too, but like in particular, let's say high school, like were you like an art wing kid? I'm curious.
I mean, not at all. I was definitely
Mm.
not an art wing kid. I was friends, like all my friends were creative people. I only
Mm,
took one art class, which is kind of what introduced me to painting, actually. So thankfully I did.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That is what caused me to start painting because I just really liked the way that it felt.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, and then since then I kept painting, not like very slowly, but I was always working on at least a painting since I took that class.
That's interesting. So it got the ball rolling for you in some way, like kind of in the more contemporary sense of how you do your work, maybe like just I paint, that even just saying that now, started then, but you weren't just over there all the time.
No, not at all.
Okay, I feel that for sure.
But yeah, I think it gave me a sense because I didn't have a lot of art classes or a lot of exposure to art up until then in the school that I went to prior to that. So I
Okay.
think that even just that one class gave me the idea of like, oh yeah, this is painting and collage, and I can do this at home, and I can keep it, and it can be a real project. I
Totally.
know it
It's
sounds so
actually
simple, but
no, that's so serious because it's actually funny you say that. I'm realizing now in real time that the only art class that I was taking at high school, at the same high school, was photography class. And like
Mm.
I don't think I ever really intentionally ever take photography seriously, nor did I really after some time. But I just thought like I had like an eye or wanted to maybe take pictures with intention a little bit, and then not till like probably I don't know, 8 to 10 years later, am I like trying to take photography seriously and it feels like my medium and I can enter the world. So I honestly think we kind of started in the same spot then in our
yeah.
contemporary senses. That's so interesting to think about. Wow.
So I think the question that follows that, and maybe part of the question that you initially asked, is about our community. And there was this like art wing of people inside of that particular experience.
Yeah.
But Jasmine, how have you been, like, what was the beginnings of creating like a community around your art, or like the response from the community, or just like integrating your art into a community, because you do that and you're really interested in that practice. So if it wasn't kind of that like canned community that comes with an institution, how did you begin to start interfacing with a community around your work?
That's a good question. I think as the years went by since I took that art class, I became more and more interested in art. And then even when I went off to college studying science, I always thought like I would retire as an artist. So it was always like my main hobby.
Mm.
But then at the point in time that I decided to actually just pursue it instead of waiting, um, I had no idea what I was doing at all. Like zero idea. I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna call myself an artist today. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And that was just like how
Totally.
it started. And I I guess just like meeting people slowly over time, like going to art shows, trying to get involved, trying to understand even what it means to be involved in the art community. And I've learned there's so many different kinds of art communities.
Mm.
There's like
Absolutely.
gallery communities, and then there's like communities around education, and like communities more around like building or like commercial type art. And they're all kind of like their own little groups and spaces. And
Yeah. So
I love.
I have to zoom in on that one part where you said, um, one day I just decided like here I was going to start calling myself an artist. Was that actually a day? Like, was there a moment attached to that? Was there some sort of revelation? Because it sounded really clear when you said it.
I think it was a day.
Mm.
I don't know. I think a lot of processing had been going on before then
Of
because I'd
course.
had to take time off from school, and I
Mm.
was really sick at the time, and that just caused me to think like why would I wait to start my life? Like why would I put my life into the future?
Yeah.
And I was probably thinking about that for a couple weeks, but there definitely was a certain day where I was just like, all right, well, I'm just going to say it now. Like, and I just started telling people because I think in my family, like my family was always supportive of me being creative,
Yeah.
but I literally never even had the concept that possibly I could do that as a career for whatever reason.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially being in the sciences, it was like, oh yeah, like that's not what you like do.
So yeah, very very different from a very different career path from that.
And I love when people decide like they're a lowercase a artist, like they just decide that's like their first foray, and it's just like that's it. I'm an artist. I've decided that, and then like the capitalization of that a happens over time, inevitably. But just getting the word out enough,
Hmm.
just I am an artist. What does that even mean? It means so many things. It means everything and nothing, and that. But there is that like choice in your soul to be like, no, this is me. And that's like, I love everyone's own story of deciding to be the lowercase, because the capitalization is a whole other world. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that's crazy.
Yeah, and I like I like those moments. We often kind of come to these moments where we say, yeah, that was the day that I decided. I think it's important to have an origin story, but for people who are in that processing phase, or people who are mulling it over, like, that day doesn't have to be like a really life-changing day. Like, those decisions, I think for me, or maybe what I'm hearing from you, Jasmine, like, it felt like the next logical step from like a series of processes and a series of thoughts. So it's not like some eureka moment that comes out of nowhere and bites you often, or strikes you, and then you have this like new meaning, this new sensation in your body. I think for some people, and for a lot of people, it's this slow cultivation of this energy and this direction over time. And then at some point, you have to take the next step, but the next step is just like over this painted line on the ground. But the terrain it doesn't immediately shift, and doesn't change immediately.
Completely.
So,
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it.
yeah. We do have some images of your work here if we want to share. I will just need to switch us over to this part. And yes, up.
An extension of Rick's void.
Pick the right thing there.
There we go.
It's a little funky today, making the template in real time. Because,
How the templates are made.
used to it. So yeah, I mean, then like we can just have these here as we kind of work up into the work. But to go back and to go forward with what we're saying is, you made that decision. You started painting and started painting more, and started to realize that there were all of these different communities and different types of support structures around your work. And the thing that I feel most connected to about your work is that you are seemingly always kind of in the process of making paintings, and they are progressing because of consistently painting, iterating on these things, and making work. So I think that something I want to set as a stage for the viewers is that I believe like Jasmine paints very prolifically, and paints at a rate that really helps kind of show us what iteration can do for a painting practice. So you've noticed your painting practice change over time?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and actually I was also thinking like how I've defined myself as an artist, and like even what an artist means. Like that's changing all the time. It's such a evolution.
What are some of those things that have changed for you?
Well, the first phase was just figuring out what like, oh, you should hang your painting in a show. Like what do you do? What does this thing being an artist mean?
Mm-hmm.
Very logistical.
So that yeah,
Sure.
very just like what the basics here. And then I went through a phase where I was focused on making art, but I was also focused on moving art, selling art. And now I'm not into that at all, really. It's not, I mean, it can happen, but my focus, I guess, has shifted more into like the deeper meaning of like, what am I actually doing with all this stuff that I'm making?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
where does it fit into the bigger picture of people around me? Which is why I like being connected to the art community, especially like locally. I find it much easier to understand what's going on in my city than to try to understand what's going on in the entire art world. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
get to that someday, but yeah.
That is an important space to maintain. At least just know who's outside your front door. I think that's
Yeah.
a start.
Yeah.
The other stuff can come through kind of a networked approach to understanding those things, and And I think artists always kind of require different sets of information as starting points. I think that I saw on your website that you were doing written interviews for a while. Is that right? Because I think I remember you interviewing John Young on your website.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and I might do it again. But I think I've learned that I like interviewing people. Like for the podcast, I like the voice interview better than the written interview.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I just want to put your links in the chat for everybody who's interested in checking out Jasmine's work in the various spaces, because you have a lot going on, and it seems that, like, I wonder if this is a newer part of the work that you're making or one of those phases that you're talking about, but that media and that media is a big part of your work. So, whoa, I have a cat.
Oh,
He jumped up.
hi, buddy.
Say hello to the world, little baby boy.
Virgil in space.
He's losing weight.
Oh, good guy.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So for me, media is a huge part of my creative practice. So marketing was kind of like my first real career, creative direction in marketing, and writing about work and producing media around it. And I noticed that in your work. So there were those interviews, but then also now you're producing a podcast that's like art adjacent, I would say.
That's a good way of putting it.
So what is the drive in you to make art adjacent media, or that kind of like you have this kind of more focused art practice, but then there's lots of focus on kind of like the parts of your practice that are adjacent to the art that you're making?
Yeah, I think what I've learned is that for me, I feel like it's really important to not just make something and like put an image up and feel like everyone should just understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to do is create all these different like ways where people can like come in the door to then maybe understand what I'm doing in the studio a little bit deeper. So I guess like connecting to the world. For me, art is all about like creating a message and like communicating it. And some people understand things in different ways. So I guess I just figure if I put out all these different forms of something that feels similar inside of me, but put it out in all these different ways, like writing, talking, painting, that it'll have a more likely chance that people will actually get it.
Totally. It's like shots on goal. Like you're just like you're splatter painting, you're shotgunning, however you want to say it. Like there's a zillion ways to think about it, but like I think that speaks to me certainly, and I think Rick too. Like I think like having your practice exist in so many different spaces, not just the physical art itself, but like I feel like having listened to your podcast, I know so much more about you as an artist. So when I see your work, even though you're even interviewing someone else entirely, I feel like I know who you are. And so when I see your work, it's actually even more important to me because I know the person who's made it, actually. And I think that there's a lot of space that artists don't tend to occupy or like wait for someone to come to them. And you just decided to go for it, which I think is like really like forward thinking. It's and I also just
I wasn't thinking that. That's a good plan though.
Well, hey, let us give you more credit. Why not?
I mean, my main.
Yeah. Sorry, I was interrupting. Have some coffee. Welcome to the chat. Hey, good to see you here. Thanks for joining us. We're talking about art. Denise in the chat asks, Jasmine, are you self-taught? Your work feels bold, biological, and energetic. Such a cool vibe.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I am self-taught.
Self-taught. And what does that mean for you?
It means I didn't. Oh well, I basically didn't take very many art classes. I did take 2. One in high school, one in college. Well, I mean, it didn't. I don't know.
Autodidactic, damn it.
Yeah, I mean, inside the context of how art is often spoken about, um, that would definitely qualify in the self-taught realm, you know, like, but then again, there's like lots of questions around what that means because I would imagine you were watching YouTube videos on painting and finding different forms of media that could excel or asking your friends, um, but what yeah, I think that's it. There's an interesting thing that we come up against a lot is the value of institutional learning and how that directs artists, and the value of being a self-taught, self-directed artist and how that affects people's work. I feel right in the middle, which is
Yeah, I mean,
good.
I wonder what would have happened if I went to art school. I mean, I feel like I don't think it would have served me well
Hmm.
at that, like when I was going to college, because I think for me I would have needed to have a stronger idea of my voice. Otherwise I think it might have been crushed. But
Mm.
now now I think it might be kind of cool to go to art school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's ironic to me. Like, I feel like we go to these schools and get this education when we're like theoretically like the most sensitive to criticism, when we're like our brains are thinking about literally anything else and would rather. And then now as adults, like I can't tell you a single adult that I know that doesn't say like once every like 3 to 5 weeks, like, man, I kind of want to go back to school.
Hmm.
You
Oh, I
know,
say that like every day.
yeah. And I don't think that's like a regression thing. Like, I want to go back to high school. It's like I want to go back to like a like planned learning environment where there's a tasks in hand and I learn more skills and I'm around people that like want to learn and are also interested in learning those things and having communication. And I think that's exactly why, like, in some ways, like, you did go back to art school, Jasmine. Like, you just did it in podcast form. Like Rick, I honestly think this is what the travel agency is kind of all about. It's like
Hmm.
creating our own communities of creativity and learning. Like, I never
Hmm.
come away from one of these episodes feeling like, well, I didn't learn a damn thing. Like, I'm in school right now, in a way, and saving a lot of money, I'll tell you that. But, I think, we're all yearning to learn, and especially when we're a little bit older, we kind of know what we like, you know. So I do you feel like, I don't mean to think that that's exactly how you feel. It's like, do you feel like the podcast and these community spaces you've been in like are kind of like a school in a way?
Yeah, I mean the podcast is probably too new, but I can see it being a school. The community spaces and being in touch with other artists have been so vital
Okay.
to
And that
my creative
community,
growth.
totally. That community space, is there one specific that you're talking about?
No,
Okay.
not really a location or anything, just getting to know people individually and then being able to go to openings and just meet people and talk to them about what it is that they're making and why they're making it and how they made it.
For sure. Absolutely.
Especially the how. That is the one thing that has been really tricky for me not having an art education, is like, especially as I've only recently gotten into sculpting,
Mm.
and there's just a lot of like basics like about materials that I'm now having to figure out. But it's an
Totally.
adventure.
Well, that's
Yeah.
really interesting too, because like we do know the where, the who, the why maybe, but the how is like, and there's other ones there, but yeah, the how, that's really hard. we we leave that up to like YouTube most of the time, and that's like not super communal often. I mean, it is, but like
You have to work for
you're,
it.
you have to work for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, facility is awesome in art schools. Like having access to kilns and having access to printing facilities. Like I'd love
Yeah,
to go. I mean, I'm doing this in my practice. I'm doing printmaking, but with like 12 extra steps and like not with ink, but with paint, which is like really fitting for my practice. But man, I would really love to just like get my hands on a screen printer and be kind of like in that facility and just access to these materials kind of like immediately, and somebody who knows how to show me to like not break it or hurt myself. Like those things seem really good, but like there are a lot of really great maker spaces that kind of fit in those gaps, like Made and you're working in clay with these new sculptures. Is that right?
And this is paper mache.
Oh, it's paper mache. I thought it was clay.
I did too.
Okay. Well, there you
Yeah.
go.
You got us. You duped
I'm
us.
only on the paper mache.
Yeah, but I don't even think it's an only, you know?
Definitely not.
Um,
How long has that piece been you've been working on? Is that your like first official paper mache sculpture?
Yeah. Well, I do have one. I found one from when I was like 4.
Oh.
That hasn't. I keep it on my desk actually because it's one of my favorite things I ever made.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
So now I've returned. So my second.
Okay. A very full full spectrum moment for
did
sure.
that object help you return to it? Was that something that happened? You're like, oh?
Yeah, I've actually been waiting. See, we should go back to now talking about this passion balance thing. Like
Yeah.
I've been waiting for years. Like I've been telling myself, no, don't do sculpture now. It's not a good idea because I do work so prolifically that I was always afraid it would become a problem if I started sculpting. And recently I've just
Yeah.
been like, whatever. I'm bored with painting. I guess I'm taking the plunge.
I mean, you could have 112 of those in a room easily, and it would be a really crazy room. Right?
I think so. Yeah.
So like I think
Does anyone have an extra room?
we'll find you a
Got
room.
spare room. We can
We'll find you a coral room.
get you a coral room.
But yeah, I think then like being confronted with having so many of those is going to create its own challenges, just like having the paintings did. But then also like seeing so many of those in the same room is probably pretty immediately going to change the way that you think or feel about them, too.
Yeah.
But like, let's go sculpture.
Yeah. Well,
All right, you guys are encouraging me.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yes, let's make this happen. Well, I'm curious about like how. Okay, I have 2 questions. One, the scale of your painting work. So like the piece behind you, what are like the dimensions of that?
It's 4 by 5 feet.
Okay, and then are the majority of your paintings kind of around that size for the most part?
No,
do
this
they
is one
vary?
of the bigger pieces. I mean, I actually really do prefer to work big.
Okay, because I was thinking like I'm just looking at like the flattened small image on a screen of these paintings, which by the way are very high res. Like I don't. This is very excellent.
Oh.
Categorization of your work, I think, because I feel like I see a lot of artists who kind of I know, like I'll see their work in person. I'm like, wow, it's really so much different. It's so different from what I saw online. And I think that the accuracy of the photos, I think that, and this is what I'm getting to, is the scale of these paintings is what would be the most striking to me. So I'm curious, like, what does scale mean to you in your art?
I mean, I like to work big, and like as time has gone by, I want to work bigger and bigger. I know that. I mean, some of it is just like limitations based on the thing that I'm going to make. Like, if I have this image in my head, or I never have an exact image in my head, but if I have like a certain kind of a pattern that I want to make, they're a lot easier to make at larger scales.
Okay.
Because they're so detailed. And then I find myself, if I'm always running out of space. I feel like even on this one, I feel like I ran out of space. So when I'm making really small things, I start like just trying to make it smaller and smaller and smaller. but it doesn't work because it's like it just doesn't do what I want it to do.
You need that extra room. You need that big room.
Yeah.
Well, the form size on that painting behind you is really important, you know, because if it was the same form size as something that's on a 12 by 12, then it's just gonna look like a mess, probably. You know, if you're working in that same level of detail, it's just gonna be way too much.
Well, I do that a lot actually on a lot of my paintings.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah, and then it looks different than imagined because seeing those forms at that big scale is so exciting because I would wager to guess it's like 10 times harder to make those big forms make sense and integrate into the picture plane than it is to do it on a smaller piece. That's been my experience of that type of abstraction. You gotta
Yeah.
really hold yourself back.
Yeah. Well, and I'm curious too on scale, as long as we're talking about the sculpture pieces too, like how do you see scale transitioning in terms of like did you run out of space theoretically, quote unquote, with that sculpture? Like would you prefer that one to be even bigger, or was that right where you kind of wanted it? Are
Hmm.
those limitations there with sculpture?
Well, right now where I'm at with sculpture is like just learning the materials. So the way that it was put together was just like this is the size of the stuff that I had to make the frame.
Okay.
And I also have been working with air dry clay, and it was similar kind of thing. Like this is just how big it will get before it will crack.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I'm at the basics of learning.
So it's not like at a space where like you've gotten to paper, like, let's just say paper mache even, like you've gotten to that and you're like, I know what I'm doing, and I
No, I
know I
literally
intend to
just
do it.
started 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
Like,
perfect. That's cool.
I'm
Well,
just really excited about my plant friend, so I
oh, we
brought it.
love it. I mean, it's amazing. I love it. I love that we all got duped on the material of it. Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think ideally I might want to create more like installation work where this would actually be like the size of a person, and I can imagine like multiple ones of these, like, and you can walk up and like, oh, because one of the themes this fits in the theme that I'm working on with my paintings is like this thing where I feel like our society doesn't like honor plants,
Mm.
and so that would be a form of like giving respect to the plants, like that it's not just like a bush, like this is a valid entity that has intelligence and is meaningful.
Completely. Uh, Rick, I'm running train here. I'm sorry. I'm hyped. I think I'm off this
Yeah.
hard coffee, bro. I'm sorry. Um, so how do you feel like you're cracking that code a little bit with that piece? Like, do you feel like you're getting into the zone of like what how have you wrestled with showing that, getting people to care about plants through your art as a proxy to caring?
Hmm. Uh, I've been working on the concept for a while.
Mm.
It started a couple years ago with this one plant I made that was called the mirror plant,
Ooh,
and
I
that's
love
like the
that.
yeah, a lot like so a lot of my art is actually like me wrestling with like some thought experiment, and then I do all this stuff that I know nobody's going to imply is related to that, but somehow in this roundabout way gets me to be able to actually explain and share what it is that I want to share, but not ever usually on the first try.
Mm. Yeah, you gotta workshop it. Um,
Yeah.
Marge Mull in the chat says, "Love your work." Just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you gotta workshop it. It's gotta come. I mean, it's the same as your paintings, right? So you live in this meta world of where inside of these paintings you're creating these realms and these iterations and these generations, trying to like more deeply understand yourself on like a painting by painting basis. But then, like from the outsider perspective, I think the same type of thing is happening. So you're iterating these works, not just these forms, but these works over and over again. And over time, that creates this generative understanding in the viewer. And you tweak it along the way. So I feel like you are really living in this kind of like meta artist space of understanding, like you said, the plant mirror, but like the different, the hall of mirrors that you're making work in.
Mhm. Yeah.
That comes through to me. I mean, I definitely see that, and I think that for what it's worth is a really valid approach to iterating the creative practice, because like how are you supposed to get there on the second paper mache sculpture? Like how are you supposed to do that? And if we're asking ourselves to do that, what are we doing to ourselves by asking ourselves for that? And it's just not the way that the world works. It's just not.
Well, and it's funny too. There's so much like work that you have, Jasmine. That's like the more the painting based stuff, and there's like you know, we've talked about like maybe hundreds, if not maybe thousands, we don't know, maybe, of like pieces to relate to ask about. But where we happen to find you at this lightning strike moment of your practice is like, there's only two. There's two paper mache ones, and there's like 20 plus years between them.
Mhm.
You know, like
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting to watch you kind of talk about both of these spaces too. And I wonder if like they're colliding with each other a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think they're colliding. I think what happened is I finally just, and it actually happened about a year ago. It was the beginning of me feeling like I'm kind of nearing a finishing point
Yeah.
with a like a bigger thing that I was working on, which was like a lot of natural patterns.
Mhm.
And I feel like I kind of finished that up. And so then at that point I could move to something else. So I'm kind of just at the beginning stages of like moving into something else.
Mhm.
And so, and that took, you know, how long have you been doing paintings that were of that mindset, would you say? Like where you finally felt like from like what time to what time took you to get to, I feel like I satisfied that itch.
Painting wise, I think it probably at least 4 years.
Okay.
But the concept, like the idea that I had over 10 years ago.
Hmm.
And it was something that I'd written about in the past.
Yeah.
So I'd explored it in writing, and it's something that I've been thinking about it. This pattern collecting thing has been like a big constant for me.
Yeah.
Like the organic patterns. And that's why I love biology. Like that's why I wanted to study biology.
Yeah. Let's get into that. So,
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, for me, I am very upfront and transparent about my psychedelic drug experiences on the show and just in life because fucking come arrest me. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about
He's
it?
in the void. Where's Rick? Who
Yeah.
could ever know?
Yeah, that's the real reason. Yeah, hit my Bitcoin, hit my Bitcoin wallet.
Try.
But yeah, I mean, like, so from my perspective, these works are like, it would be easy to come across these works and believe that they are from like a lineage of psychedelic art imagery, that these were like paintings that some juiced dude or
Zooted.
it's just some zooted dude was making at Woodstock, right? Like in a van. And I mean that in like
I
the
always
best
wonder
way.
if people think that.
Yeah. Well, here's confirmation. And like, but there's also a part of it that is pretty much impossible for me to locate that like doesn't that indicates something more than that or indicates something other than that. And I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's that I know you, or maybe that like it just it seems like you've held fewer glow sticks in your life than the guy that I'm imagining. And there's some sort of like radiation that you haven't like yet been made mush from, which is probably
how
just the
many times-
drugs. Yeah.
How many times have we gone to Bonnaroo collectively? Yeah.
You know, and
I've gone to Bonnaroo.
Say we got one. All right, we
okay,
got
well,
that.
I haven't gone. And I'm sure, you know, Denise has seen some of this type of work at Burning Man. You know, like
Yeah.
like it does. Have you been to Burning Man, Jasmine?
No, I think about this all the time though.
Yeah. But yeah. So there's this like, from me, just I'm a hammer and I see a nail. There's this huge psychedelic element in the painting. But there's also something that like subverts that, and I don't know if it's the closest thing. If I was to just say something, I think it does tie into like the cleanliness of the paintings and the documentation of the paintings and kind of like the aura around the paintings is not like, yo, bro, I do drugs. You know, like there isn't this like broiness to it, which I see in like a lot of psychedelic work,
There's
even from
air.
people of every gender. But I don't know what that is. I don't know. That's something that I just want to bring up. And again, it's not like super accurate, but I think it's really important. So that gets into this pattern finding thing that you're talking about. So does that come up for you, like the psychedelic nature of these paintings? the Grateful Dead or some of these kind of like uh, ancient psychedelic energies, or are you finding that through zooming in on like biological life and through kind of like the fractal nature of physical reality?
Definitely both.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think like when I was making most of my paintings, like I've done psychedelics in the past, but when I
Mm.
was really painting during that period of time, I don't think I did at all.
Mm.
So maybe it was like having those experiences and having them be really important to who I am as a person and like
Mm-hmm.
how I see the world, how I interact with the world.
Yeah.
And I feel like I sometimes am like channeling awe,
Mm.
like from like where you can reach that state like through meditation, through psychedelics, through um, even just going on a really long hike or something, like
Yeah.
that awe state where you can like see the world within like a water drop.
Mm. That's a clip right there. Um, so so yeah, I didn't want to. We've never talked about. I mean, I've probably talked about taking psychedelics, but I don't. I try not to elicit that information from
Mm-hmm.
other people. So now that you've doxed yourself as a also on the FBI list of
You hear the
kooky
sirens in
drug
the
users,
background?
yeah.
You guys hear
You
that?
guys hear siren? Are they coming for us? It's me when
No,
I
they're
smoke
coming.
weed.
They're coming for the DMT dollhouse.
That's true. They're coming from the DMT dollhouse.
Yes.
Good science. But so yeah, I mean, I think that's cool that you're willing to share that, and I think it's important for us to share. A couple chat messages that are relevant. Denise says molecular, and Marge says the line work for sure is also very intentional, um, which I think gets into that. Like, the paintings would look different if you were making them on acid. Uh, I think that like my fine motor skill and perception, if I'm trying to make paintings in an altered state of consciousness, uh, changes, changes how I am actually physically painting, because I often get way more into the paint itself than the image, or just like trying to understand the mechanism through which the brush pulls the paint, and then all of a sudden like picture is so secondary to process. One more question here, and Whoa Forever, what's up, dude? Really good to see you. You came at the right time. This is the kind of conversation that is perfect for you. So we alerted you, and you heard the call. This was the DJ. This was the Whoa signal. DJ Whoa Forever asks, I'm wondering how much the science background influences the presentation of the work, which I think is really good because you frame it inside of this idea of science. Like, science is in your
Mm-hmm.
bio. It's not like mushrooms is in your bio, which
Yeah.
is a cool and interesting choice. And it seems like obviously science is more important.
I don't know. I think that they're equally important.
Mm. But you choose to
And maybe
frame
it's
it
like the integration.
inside of the lens of science.
Yeah, and I mean, I would sometimes wonder if I should open it up to being or talk more about my spirituality and spiritual experiences and some things like that. But I do think the science so far has been the most understandable thing for
Yeah.
people who've never tapped into any of those kinds of experiences, because they can still understand like the extreme beauty that we're surrounded by on Earth.
Absolutely. Real quick question, kind of journalistic here. What is your science background, just so we all know? Because we talked about your kind of art background. What's more of your science background?
Um, so yeah, where do I start? I guess I was always interning in labs, even in high school.
Mm.
I um I went straight into an accelerated medical school program
Hmm.
straight out of high school, and I was going to I think study neuroscience. So
Obviously.
even yeah, I didn't even like
As we look
have summer
here.
breaks. I was like in a lab, like studying monkeys and stuff like that
Wow.
in college.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
kind of skipped. I guess I didn't really go to college, sort of.
I mean, that's vibes though. Like, I think
Oh,
that answers DJ's question really well, is that like the science influences the presentation because that is the like an easy synonymous connecting point with um with people who with a lot, like a large audience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think even, even when I was studying science, like so much of it was trying to understand like the intersection between like different states of consciousness and spirituality and how that relates to like mental health and awareness and like just what is the nature of reality. That's been like this pressing question since I was a kid.
Hmm.
Well,
Like,
and I feel like spirituality, you keep bringing that up of like, I feel like that's almost like the third rail that like connects it all. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like if you were just a scientist who made art or an artist who was interested in science, like I don't know if you would produce this work necessarily. I feel like the spirituality is like creates the triangle of power that makes Jasmine's work. Um, so I guess too, like whatever you feel like sharing in this space, because it may be a little more personal, but like, what's kind of your background in spirituality? Like, where has that practice kind of begun?
hmm. I mean, I don't know if I don't have any official
Well,
background.
yeah,
It's
even in
just
the
always
even just
Yeah, just
effervescently,
experiences.
yeah, just in
yeah,
general,
in
yeah,
general.
yeah,
I think I've always been like trying to just come to terms with like how does science fit into everyday life, and that's for me where spirituality comes into play. Because I've noticed like even in studying science, it's like to me it feels like you start to study this thing and then it's like wait, we're making up all these names for things, but we don't even know if the things exist. And it's
that's
so the
amazing.
spirituality for me is like wait, okay, we don't have to know if they exist or not or what they're, what the name of the thing is, but like how does this actually matter to me? So I guess it's like the meaning of experiences and like even the meaning of my art making. I try to be conscious of. I
Completely.
don't know if that's my background in spirituality. I think that art is my spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
The process of being a person that makes things, that like creates. I don't even really want to use this phrase, but like creates the world around me, like instead
Hmm.
of having the world happen to me.
Yeah, I watched The Secret too.
Yeah, I don't really.
No, I come from that background, and it's changed for me as I've grown up. I think maybe what you're getting at, and maybe what we can talk about is like positive affirmation and being the creator of your own reality, like is a thing, but it's been like bastardized and commodified in our culture to mean like a whole different series of sets of things, and is like another way to oppress people, or a way
Oh
for
yeah.
spiritual people to oppress others who are experiencing uh, discontent or discomfort or disease. We can say, well, if you just aligned your chakras with the intentionality and attuned yourself to the motherland energy of the rotating magnetic spheres on the earth, then like your disease would go away because it's the secret. But it's just not. It's not a good tool. That tool is like so misused that I'm always kind of dancing around that idea of like create your own reality and positive affirmation, but I have that like deeply rooted in my experience of reality.
It's like healthy skepticism of it, almost, sort of.
Mhm.
Yeah, concerted action.
Concerted action.
I think that's
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it too maybe is also just about like not spirituality, but just like our government. Like instead of being fed things, like producing the things,
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
like being a producer instead of being a consumer.
for sure. Not just, yeah, kind of sitting back and receiving, and more just like I'm gonna like mutual aid. Like I mean, that's a huge thing
Hmm.
that people are talking about these days of just like, well, our government's kind of led us to rot in so many different ways, so we have to do it ourselves. There's no other option.
Yeah, that's like the general attitude, I guess, that I'm kind of getting at is like if there's a problem that I see, I'm going to fix it.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you might say like, if you got a problem, yo, I solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it.
Mm.
Like a fellow Scorpio, Vanilla Ice. So
There it is. There.
there it
We're gonna
is.
take a quick break. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We're gonna get back to the action here in 10 short minutes. If you make things, you know, like I think about uh, when they say we were created in God's image, and I think the most salient aspect of God's image is God's ability to create, and we were created in that image, and ourselves are able to create. So if you're making things, even if you're not making things as much, you're tapping into this deeper thread that binds us all together. You're tapping into the individuated aspect of your God particle. We'll be back at about 12:10, and we'll finish up the art talk and ask Jasmine 10 final questions. So we'll see you soon. Yo, it's me. Still in the void. I don't know. The black is kind of cool. I mean, I like it because I know what it is and I know why it's here. I wonder, somebody who's never seen this before, they're like, who is this dude? He's just living in this weird room. I mean, the alternative, the alternative is pretty cool too, I think. Um, you get a little, you get a little blue background. Looks nice. Very travel agency-esque. We'll see. Anyways. Well, welcome back, y'all.
The blue is nice. I actually might be pro blue personally.
Yeah, the only problem with the blue is that my shirt doesn't do the cool thing anymore.
Oh,
See?
well,
It does.
sure
It
does
is
look
kind of
somewhat
cool.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
in a different way.
worst case scenario, I could just change the color key to like, oh, oh no.
It's like deep fried meme, Rick.
Let's not do that.
All right. Or like Apple photo booth 2007, 8, 9.
But that was the heyday.
Yeah, that was really good stuff.
I was the first one of my friends to have a MacBook, and because my computer got stolen and my dad had a really good insurance program. My house got broken into and they stole my laptop, and it was like an old shitty laptop, but for some reason they gave me like $2,000 in insurance money. Probably some sort of fraud taking place there if I think too much about it. Yeah. But yeah, so the photo booth was the town hit. That's how I got most of my friends.
That's where most of our AVIs for the longest time started. So
It's true.
AVIs, excuse me, AVIs, avatars. I said AVIs. I sound like a grandpa.
I thought I like AVI better than Avi.
Me too. Thank you.
Well, Forever in the chat asked a question while we were on break. The question is, whilst painting, are you very neat and tidy, surgically precise, or is maybe an old dried out brush and some chaos important to your process?
Wow, what a thorough question.
I like it.
Yeah, we love Woe.
I think I'm maybe, I don't know, I'm in between messy and clean. I feel like I'm messy, but probably for an artist working on big stuff, I'm probably not that messy. But definitely the old dry brush, grabbing at random materials and chaos is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like jazz.
Yeah, I feel like I don't like to control it too much. I don't like to control the process. I always want to just plan just enough. Just barely enough, walking on the edge.
Definitely.
That's a feel, though, isn't it? Or is it a plan?
The plan before I make something?
It's you plan things?
Sometimes I do.
What's that like?
The biggest thing that I plan that I really need to do more often, so now I'm saying it on here, hopefully this will actually happen, is the usage of space.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that really helps me. My paintings are significantly better when I actually sit down and do like a block out sketch of just like, there's going to be a giant form in the middle and there's going to be just like some very basic blocking out of like where stuff is going generally.
Mm-hmm.
And then the layering too, because a lot of my work is there's so many layers, and if I think about it in advance, I'll know the better way to do the layers, so that I don't have to go and then work backwards.
Do you only work in acrylic?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just cut that dry time down, and I mean, I think it makes sense for the painting that you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think I probably will get into using oils for the details or like the very last layer
Mm. Yep.
because it is really hard to get some of the shading that I'm getting more into as I'm moving. I've moved away from abstract and getting closer and closer to surrealism
Mm-hmm.
ever so slowly.
Do you use
So
any mediums in extending the life of acrylics when you paint?
I use some other mediums, but I hate the ones that extend the drying time,
I
and I
see.
hate water.
Yeah,
Because I work with such vibrant colors, I feel like it affects the pigment.
definitely. Yeah, it messes up the binder, especially when you're trying to get those fields. Look, we can do gear talk too.
Yeah, I was, God, I was literally like, Rick, you're doing gear talk. Look, this is. Yeah, I've a few photographers we've done very brief gear talks, and Rick kind of just kind of sits it out, and this is where I'm like, I don't know nothing about acrylics, so I'm just in the audience here. This is good.
Beat you to it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the main fun fact I think is that I've really learned not to use water, and I've noticed a lot of people use a lot of water when they're trying to work with acrylics because of the dry time, and
Mm-hmm.
you just can't get vibrant colors that way.
Or they want to extend their paint, and that going out straight out of the tube can be considered like wasteful, or like if it's that thick, it can produce issues depending on what you're trying to paint. But
Yeah, if it's thick,
yeah,
that
but
could happen.
I think yeah, I'm a real muddy acrylic painter. When I paint with acrylics, it's always really wet. It's always wet, wet, wet. But oils kind of help keep that brightness, that like deep pigmentation, that concentration in the pigmentation, even if you're painting wet on wet and doing a lot of blending, instead of like having acrylic tack up on you right in a pivotal moment. And
Yeah,
it's bad.
It's the best and the worst thing
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. That's the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you get yourself a number 3 filbert hog hair brush, and you think
Bro,
it's
that
going to
hog
be
hair
great
going-
because it has that stiffness, and you might pull out the hog hair when your acrylic's starting to tack up rather than using the synthetic blend or the horse hair. But, I mean, sometimes even that hog hair, and maybe it's... So, I'm
Talk
kidding.
about jazz. I mean,
I'm kidding. I don't even use brushes anymore. I just use spray paint cans and air compressors. So speaking of, I'm gonna build this bridge. Speaking of neat and tidy, um, there's this other project that you're working on that you are scared is probably the wrong word, but you're tentative to call it a book,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I don't know what to call it. Oh, I'm calling it a mini book, but it feels like, can I call this a book? Like, at what point can you call a thing a book?
I definitely think you can call what this is a book, personally.
Okay.
Because
If you can put, yeah.
well, okay, so like a coloring book is a book.
I did make a coloring book.
So you already made one book at least.
Yes.
And then I don't know what would
Small book.
different
Tiny book.
a bookette.
yes.
But it's
Lowercase book.
called Ventilation Protocols: A Low-Key Guide to Reaching Sanity for Sensitive Beings,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
why don't you tell us about it?
So, this is my first project, I guess, where I use digital art. Digital art's another sphere that I've been exploring, so I illustrated it. It's like every other page is an illustration, and then the other page is words that go along with the illustration, and then there's also questions, like journaling prompts in there. And it's I guess it's a summary of how I feel like I work towards reaching sanity. Work towards.
Mm-hmm. And what is the definition of sanity inside of this environment?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if I answered that. I think a lot of it is about you defining that for yourself.
Okay, that's fair.
And I mean, a lot of this came out of like the last year. The last year, I haven't been doing as much art as I had been in the past because I'd been getting more into starting up my coaching practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing a lot of group workshops online. That I never planned on doing that, but then when the pandemic happened, I was just like, okay, well, what can I do? And a lot of these workshops relate wellness to being a creative person. So there's some like creative or expressive element to whatever the topic is or the thing that it's exploring.
Mm.
So the mini book is like a summary. It's like a very broad, like overarching summary of like all those things that I've been wanting to communicate with people.
Is it a workbook?
A little bit,
Uh-huh.
but it's not it's not like you have a whole bunch of questions. There's just a couple. So it's kind of like a statement and then like a question for, okay, like how do you relate this to your life or what does this mean to you? Because I didn't want it to be like an actual guidance system because I don't think that any person can give another person their guidance system. So it's almost like trying to help somebody invoke their own system.
Yeah.
Really quick, this coaching you're talking about, what is that about exactly, and how long have you been doing that?
I think, when did I start? I guess almost about 2 years ago now, I got trained as a wellness coach. And then now I would say my practice is more in the realm of life coaching.
Okay. And do you use this book in the implementation of that life coaching, or is this like just a separate creative outlet or like thing that was made separately?
Well, it's not even printed yet. It's being printed. So it hasn't actually really been seen or used by anybody yet.
Okay, gotcha.
But I really like the idea of using art to help like bridge some ideas about wellness. Like a lot of like wellness, usually when I'm talking about wellness is more like mental wellness.
Jay, can you turn your microphone up just a little bit?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thanks. Yeah. The question that I want to ask here is just go with me. So what gives you the right to be a coach? You know?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's a very good question. I mean, really, well, there's a certification system.
There you go.
First of all, there's a certification.
But there's many different types of certification systems, and like the one that I did go with, it's been really an interesting journey because like the certification I went with is like this one that's recognized internationally, and it's more than half, like it's all like business coaches, mostly. It's like a lot of business coaches, a lot of corporate coaches. But I just like wanted to do that because I felt like that I needed some kind of standard or guidance, and I still feel like I'm learning, and that's why I feel like I'm very new, and it's going to take me years and years before I even feel like super comfortable saying that I'm a coach.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wanted to bring it up because I mean that like as in jest, obviously, and that's a question that a lot of people confront themselves. It's the same question, like what gives you the right to call yourself an artist? And
yeah,
I mean, there's no there are certifications for that too, which isn't a prerequisite, but can be helpful, and can help people feel that and have the requisite knowledge to work in certain fields. But I think it's a salient question, in that like probably something that you get confronted with, mostly probably from yourself rather than from other people. But yeah, that question of like, when do I feel comfortable telling this? When do I feel comfortable sharing this? Can I call this a book? Right? And then like at some point you just say, well, yeah, I mean, fuck it, it's a book.
Yeah.
I'm a coach. It's a book. I'm an artist. Denise wants to buy one, by the way. Are they going to be available on your website when they're in print?
Yeah, actually they are. There's a pre-order on my website.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll pop those links in the chat there. So is that something that comes up a lot for you, or do you feel like you've ventilated those thoughts properly?
Well, I mean, I do think about it all the time. I think basically I feel like I learned a skill.
Mm-hmm.
It is like a skill set that I did learn.
Okay.
But I also feel like I'm most likely going back to graduate school to study either expressive arts therapy or counseling because I feel personally like I do want to dig deeper than that skill has allowed me to be able to help people.
Mm.
Gotcha.
Woe in the chat has a question about the coaching. What do you find yourself coaching people on most often? What are some frequently asked questions? He's trying to get a free session real quick. Just a little teaser, just a little
Yeah,
tester.
buddy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, I think the biggest thing I work with people on is confidence
Mm-hmm.
and pursuing their creativity. And a lot of the times it's not like necessarily an art practice, but just somebody being able to be the kind of person they want to be in their family life or in their career or just being an authentic version of themselves. And a lot of it comes down to fear of what that would look like. And so it kind of does resemble back to like when I did take that leap and decide to call myself an artist. Like, so I basically I like to help people call themselves whatever they want to call themselves.
Mm.
I don't give advice. That's a huge misconception about coaching.
Why not?
Interesting.
It's actually not technically part of like what you do in coaching. That is a difference between coaching and counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Like in coaching, you really just try to like be fully present with somebody and you ask the right questions to kind of help them find that within themselves. So yeah, I don't claim to have any answers.
That's
at
what my
all.
therapist says too.
Interesting. Well, I mean, some therapists probably work from that mindset too.
Yeah.
No, but that's an interesting concept of the coaching versus counseling. Like, what is
Mhm.
the subtle difference of those two things? And like,
Yeah.
I
Well, and
think
coaching,
sorry, go ahead. No, go
it's
ahead.
coaching is mostly focusing on the future. So creating change in the future instead of like healing the past, which is the default to it too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to sit with that one for a little while.
There you go. It's getting deep. Yeah, workbooks. Yeah, Wo says I'd snag a workbook for sure. Yeah, they are like we said, available for pre-order on Jasmine's website.
I do want to ask one quick question about specifically this one and the kind of the nature of ventilation. I think that
Yeah.
word specifically is like so interesting because I feel like thinking about the way like Jasmine would use it is like, okay, like you're clearly showing like the mind needs ventilation to cycle through it. Like I don't feel like people talk about like they talk about venting, but
Mhm.
ventilation to me is like the systems of it, not just like the exhaust itself, as much as like creating an infrastructure to get to that point. And like, you know, I think a lot of us are having to learn about that daily with like wearing masks because it's like when you take a mask off, it feels like there's a whole new world when you're in your car in a safe environment to do so. That like I feel like you really appreciate like just your basic breathing ventilation in that way, let alone mental creative.
Let
And
alone
I'm
this mask that you wear.
yes, that I wear every day to keep myself from society. The jokiferification of all of us. I've been joking. So what else does like ventilation mean to you on in like all
That's
of the
good.
ways that Jasmine looks at the world? I'm curious like what does ventilation mean to you?
I think systems is a key point that you
Okay.
you got out of it. It definitely I think does mean having those systems or thought processes that you can go through when you're having a hard time or when you're when you're feeling sad or when you're feeling anxious or when you're facing a problem, like having some kind of structure in place
Yeah.
before that happens.
Because
Or like to move through it. To me it's all
Mhm.
about like moving energy, like yeah, I'm definitely not one of these overly positive people. I'm not into that positivity movement. I'll say that.
you're not toxically positive, yeah.
No, I'm actually very into like you should feel it all,
Mhm.
I think.
Totally.
I will say.
Absolutely.
But I mean that's my opinion. But yeah, I think that the
Oh, I think
book
you're
is
right.
kind of
Good opinion.
let's agree. Do we all agree?
I think we agree on that.
Okay, cool. See, I like to, feeling it all, but then having a way to transfer out of the more negative energy. So that's also kind of like the ventilation where it's like, okay, experience this, but then how do you also get out of it when you're ready, when it's time?
Crack the window. Crack the window is kind of like what
Yeah.
it feels like to me. So Jake, you were making this comparison to exhaust, and we can like compare that to a lot of different things. Like at some points you need like an exhaust. You need to
Right.
either exhaust what you're feeling or like you are going to be exhausted, or some sort of marriage of those two ideas, or like a ventilation. I think of like a vent fan, or like I'd love more ventilation in my basement, but because I'm slowly killing myself with solvents. um, but then also like
No.
the the more passive ideas around like cracking a window, and that not being like a spew or an exhaust, but also like kind of this stopgap, or this vent, but more of like a passive ventilation is a sense that I'm getting from these ideas that you're sharing as well. Sometimes you got to get it out, but also like have space for things to go when they need to move.
Routing. Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like breathing too. Like you breathe in and breathe out. It's like the balance of it.
Well, and so you talk about it too, and then you're like physically having people ventilate kind of in the book itself, seemingly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it seems
Yeah.
very like it's like always that thing of like duh, but like
But
duh.
yeah.
No, I didn't.
Who
I didn't
are
get
we?
that.
Who are we today, Jake?
We're in the zone. I mean, Jasmine, you brought such a positive vibe here, and your art is bringing a lot out of us today. I'm really
Not too positive though.
but not toxically positive.
Yeah.
I'm positive that it is not toxic positive.
We
yes,
felt it all today.
We really did. For sure.
Okay, I don't want to share too much about this book. You guys go out and buy
Yeah,
it.
You gotta go get it.
You gotta go get it.
that.
And drop those pre-orders, because that makes everything easier when people know that people want things. That's like a really good tool for pre-ordering. So yeah, if you have some stuff to spare, drop it over there. Support Jasmine. Go follow her on Instagram and Facebook and all those places, because any followers that she gets today, she's going to know is from us, and then that's going to feel really good. So do that for us. If not for her,
Use promo code.
if not for
travel
you,
agency.
yeah, just do it for us. Send her a DM, TTA. She'll check those website analytics.
Yeah.
I think it's time to get into the final 10 questions. Don't you think?
Perfect. Let's do it. I think that'll be great. I'll take him first. I think Rick, you've been leading it off last time. Jasmine,
Fine.
what is one simple thing you're trying to get good at?
Sculpture is not a simple thing, I guess. Having fun.
Yeah, simple.
Ooh. Say more.
I found myself becoming way too serious.
Oh.
So I'm working on undoing that.
Okay. And is there a thing you've tried recently that's worked for that to have some fun?
I mean, it's a mindset. I think just remembering that that's like such a big important point of life. And I find myself even with art sometimes getting caught up, not taking the art too seriously, but just like having too big of a to-do list and like doing all the awesome cool stuff that I'm doing, which I'm excited about. I put too much on my plate, and then forget like that this is all voluntary for the most part. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's sitting there making me do this.
Right.
But then you have to ratchet yourself tighter. Once that list grows, then you got to like batten down those hatches, and it's easy to lose sight of the fun in that. It can be super easy.
Yeah.
So how's your to-do list right now?
I don't know.
It's chilling. Yeah, good.
I guess so.
There you go.
I'm not sure what's going on with it.
Sounds like you're getting better at having fun.
I'm sure I wrote it down somewhere, and I'll check back in. I don't remember anything unless I write it down.
I feel you. I got into these little flippy books, these like little flippy books,
Oh, nice.
and
Little Nemo
that's
pad.
how I keep track of all of my madness.
It's so nice you keep it in one book.
Yeah, until I mean, they don't last super long. 'Cause it's like 60 pages or something. So then I have like archives of these little flippies because I'm worried that something in one of those from the past is going to be important. But it's better than forgetting literally everything that I want to do.
Yeah, I usually have my,
You get a
my
little
steno
flippy?
notes.
Oh, a little
My-
steno.
So then it's a flip, right down the middle. So you're forced to kind of only
Oh, that's
right
vibes.
there, and then have it on each side. Which is interesting.
Look at us, all grown up.
I know. Jasmine, what is your favorite type of gum?
I don't remember the last time I chewed gum, but we'll go with mint.
Mint.
Gum. Is there a brand you fancy?
No.
Yeah.
If somebody offers me a piece of mint gum, I will chew it.
That
Usually
mofo was getting chewed. I tell you what.
Very good.
Very good.
Have you ever the question 3? Have you ever successfully completed a game of Monopoly?
What do you mean successfully?
That's the question, isn't
You
it?
tell us.
I would say yeah. I used to play Monopoly with my cousins when I was younger a lot. I don't remember if I won or
If it
I don't know.
did it end? Did it complete?
I'm guessing it probably did, but
Yeah.
I can't confirm. We could have made up a new rule.
That's
It
right.
was
The
a while
endless
ago.
Monopoly game. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, is any game of Monopoly ever successfully completed? That's
on us.
really kind of
I
the
mean,
question. It's like capitalism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember how you win. I don't
You
remember what
drain the
happens.
lifeblood out of your competition.
You smote them and
Yeah.
shower over their ashes, I guess.
You
I
have
don't know.
you take them to the brink of exhaustion, and they have to sell everything they own in order to pay your rent prices. That's supposedly winning.
Oh, well.
But then, like, who's there to? I mean, you just own the bank. Like, who's there? Where's the income coming from if everybody's just bankrupt, right?
Lonely at the top.
Other than being an artist, if you couldn't be an artist and you had no other limitations, this is question 4, by the way, what would your dream job be?
Oh, this is such a hard question.
Well, you have to answer it.
Okay.
You have to.
I feel like one of the main reasons I call myself an artist is because it like everything can fit in there. It's such a multidisciplinary thing.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It's off the table. Sorry to say.
I know. It's such a shame. Maybe a cultural anthropologist.
Yeah, that's vibes.
That is major vibes.
Something like that.
Jasmine, what was your favorite cartoon growing up?
It's question
Huh.
5, by the way.
Another hard one. Why don't I remember any cartoons? I mean, I know I watched them. I don't remember any of them being my favorite.
And favorite's kind of a weird thing anyways, you know? Like, how do you determine what a favorite is? Is it the one you watched the most or the one that you were most excited to watch? Think about that a lot.
Yeah. I'll go with SpongeBob.
Yeah. See, it's all just making sense as to why
It's
we're friends and why we're here and what we're all doing together. I mean, I quote SpongeBob like weekly, if not daily, to Tiffany,
Yeah.
who's never watched it. She's like learning about SpongeBob only through me quoting it.
Wow.
Yeah, and she like knows it now, and she quotes it back to me, but she's never seen it. I mean, I've shown her YouTube clips.
There were some really good moments in SpongeBob, and then a lot of it was like so boring. It's just such a weird. It was such a weird kids show.
Oh, it's such a weird kid show.
There's a lot of space. I like the space in it. I like the jellyfishing, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just, we're out here trying to, like those slow moments in SpongeBob are really cool to me. It's like Samurai Jack is like the epitome of that.
Although it's weird to me that the jellyfish being in the sea with them are not anthropomorphized. They are caught while also theoretically being on the same creature lamb as like a sponge or an octopus or a crab or
Yeah,
a whale.
I could see it if it was crab, octopus, whale, squid.
Yeah.
That a jellyfish is obviously more dumb, right? But you throw sponge into the mix, and
Sponge changes it.
sponge changes it for sure.
Or if you had some coral, there's no like coral character, much like, that one we could point out next to Jasmine or anything. But
Yeah, but
coral,
there's a
like,
character named Coral.
right.
Um,
That'll be on the separate Sponge podcast. Sponge Pod Square Cast. Yeah,
yeah.
I did it. Oh yeah, that felt good. Okay. Here, I'm gonna
You
mute
good, Jake?
myself.
You need me to? You need me to turn? let you have some. Oh, let you have some
Go
space.
without me, please. Yeah, I need a moment. Go ahead.
Is there an artist that you? Is there an artist? I'm not laughing at this question. Question number 6. Is there an artist that you hate to love? Is there an artist that you love but you just cringe that you love them?
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Question's really for the more cynical artists among us, is what I'm realizing as we workshop this question. So if it's difficult, it's okay. You don't have to answer.
Cringe is just such a strong word.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in some ways Salvador Dali.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel that.
Why? I'm so curious.
I mean, I love his work, but like knowing about his life and him as a person,
Mhm.
and just like the
Oh.
over popularity of it and like the whole persona and everything.
The
It's
mustache is pretty cringe.
a little cringy, but just a little.
Interesting.
That's good. That's
But
a
I
good
mean,
answer. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good answer. I agree. I think a lot of people I think Dali is pretty cringeworthy sometimes. He's kind of a shithead. I mean, he's definitely like an ethical shithead, but even his paintings are like kind of shithead paintings from time to time. But also like he was so good at painting. Like what?
Yeah, no, the paintings are amazing.
Like how is he that good? Good at painting.
Wow.
Jake, you want to take question number 7? Lucky number 7?
Let's do it. Jasmine, when you're driving, are you typically the giver or the receiver of the finger?
If anything, definitely the receiver.
Okay. Are you're just cruising along, taking your time?
Yeah, I do not like to be in a rush. That's
Yeah.
a big pet peeve of mine. And I don't understand when other people are in a rush, especially in the car. Like mainly in the car. Just like,
So if
where
someone's
do you
on your
guys
butt-
need to go? That this
Yeah.
is you're putting people's lives in danger. Like,
Yeah, it can be a lot. Yeah, no, I think that there's some, but you're saying there are people like swerving around you, being like, "What the hell?" Pretty often.
not too often. But you know, sometimes if I'm trying to let somebody go, like at a stop sign, if we both get there at the same time and they like don't want to go and they're getting all cranky about it, I'm like, okay, like I was just trying to let you go.
What
Like,
do you want from me? For sure.
It's a really good Portlandia skit about that. Wow,
yeah.
Portlandia, what a blast from the past.
For real.
What happened to that show?
I don't know. I think it just.
We all grew up.
Yeah.
Jasmine, question number 8, getting towards the end here of 10. What are your thoughts on Crocs?
it's cool that they come in a lot of colors
Yeah.
That makes sense. I get
and they're really affordable.
I have this underlying fear every time that now somebody's just going to start talking about how much they either love or hate crocodiles.
that. Oh. It happened our first round. Like, Crocs, like
It seemed like it
Dials?
it translated just fine.
Yeah, we got it.
They do come in a lot of colors. It's true.
Yeah.
A lot of styles
ever-
too.
Have you ever owned a pair?
No.
Mm.
I
It
have
might.
not.
It's kind of on brand for you. If I was your
Yeah.
stylist,
It is. They totally are. Like visually and also just like the casualness of the way I approach clothing.
yeah, you could
They'd
definitely
fit right in.
have like a Crocs crossover, like the
Yeah.
the jazzy Croc limited edition special drop. Be pretty fresh, or at
I
least
would
one of
buy
those
some.
little pips. Get a
I
little-
find them really hard to walk in. I've tried them on. I think that's
Uh,
probably why.
maybe they weren't sized properly. You can go to an
Yeah.
authorized Croc outlet, like the New
Maybe.
Balance
An
store.
official authorized reseller of Croc materials. Okay.
Like the New Balance store.
Exactly.
I mean, I usually just don't wear shoes.
Yeah,
In a Croc type scenario.
See,
right.
that's the mega brain thing. It's like streetwear. I just don't wear shoes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I don't even need to deal with that. I
But-
just won't wear them.
Crocs are kind of like not wearing shoes, but also wearing shoes. So they could fit into that. They could fit into that next level of like where you normally wear shoes. Instead, you could just wear Crocs.
And it does
Possibly.
have proper ventilation.
Oh,
I do
Maybe
want
I'll get a
that.
pair for the summer.
I think it's time.
Yeah.
It's
And then
Croc
I
time.
will
when's your
give you
birthday?
guys
We might need
credit.
to crowdfund a Croc, a Jasmine Croc. When is your
A
birthday?
Croc fund. Yeah.
November 1st.
Oh, that's at the end of summer. Okay. Well, we'll keep
Well,
workshopping it.
We got some time. We'll work on that. Rick, do you want to take the last two, or do you want to do me you?
I think question number 9 we've really kind of talked about a lot.
That's true. Question number 9 is describe your meditation practice or similar way of relaxing/connecting.
Which people can kind of just
Yeah.
rewind the stream.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Painting for me has been a very consistent one. Also, lately, I've mostly been into walking,
Hmm.
especially with like the gyms. Well, the gyms aren't closed, but I'm not going to the gym right
yeah,
now.
gym
yet,
is
so-
sus.
Been getting into walking in a meditative way, like turning off all the electronics, which sometimes I really don't want to do. But when I actually do that, I feel like it really helps me clear my mind. Especially like if I go at a slow pace.
And is this like an intentional walk around your neighborhood, or do you go somewhere to walk? Like maybe drive there and then walk?
More often it's just where I am because it's easier, but sometimes I do. Usually about once a week, I'll go somewhere, trying to get closer to nature. Not the last 2 weeks because it's been too much snow. But
Too snowy. Too much.
yeah, usually I try to get out in nature. And I do also meditate. I like meditating with a candle. I've noticed because my mind has a hard time clearing visually, but if I watch a candle meditation works really well for me, but I don't do it enough. I'd like to. I used to do it more.
No, I've had some really trippy candle meditations. Sometimes you just get in sync with that flame. Boy, that shit is fucking crazy.
Yeah,
That shit
it's kind of
is
like watching
crazy.
the clouds in a
Yeah.
very like hyperspeed intensive way.
Yeah, it responds immediately to what's going on in the room and you.
I need
Yeah,
to do
check that out, you know. Shout out to
Drop
that.
those links in the chat. Here's candles links in the chat.
I'm
Let's go.
serious. Yeah. No, it's vibes. I should do that. I should get into that again. It seems just so formal. It's like, I'm going to sit cross-legged and stare at this candle. But like it's kind of great because of the formality of it. So I just have a hard time working up that formality around my meditation practice. I'm like, I meditate all the time, bro. I'm always meditating. Like, I'm in touch with my
Yeah.
emotions and feelings. You know, like which is true, but also like the way that you cultivate your ability to do that to a greater extent is probably through the same, you know, exercise. And that exercise is formalized meditation practice. But, you know, we're all just on the journey, in this wheel of life. 10th question, final question. What is the most memorable response you've received about your work?
Hmm. I don't know. Hmm. In general, I'll say this isn't just one response, but I have a fan who I think probably is now about 7, and he was just so cute. And he found me at an art fair many years. Well, I don't know. I might have his age totally wrong, but he kind of followed my art journey for like years and ended up like getting a painting of mine. And I just thought that's so cool.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Like that just made me so happy. And he like came to my art birthday party and like drew me a picture. And it made me happy that I think it got him into art.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you guys meet? Like, so like just parent, I assume, just walked. How old was this child when you met them?
4 or 5 maybe.
Okay.
Wow.
Just at an art fair.
That's like walking age.
Yeah, that's very young.
Yeah.
And did the kid have a response to your work, or was it kind of like parent facilitated, or like how did that go?
It was 100% my art. It was like not,
Huh.
it wasn't me either. It was just like he was just fascinated by it.
Wow. Oh my
That's
God, that's so
wild.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine what I would do in that sense, and just like a kid just like blown away by
Mm.
my work would be like, I'm not prepared to speak to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to respond with you about like what you think, but like that's incredible.
I think
Yeah.
that the difference is that your work and my work, Jake, like if a kid was into it,
Yeah.
we'd really have to question his upbringing.
Like, what's the deal with you?
What?
What's going on?
I don't know.
What's your fascination with fences, bro?
What's up with that? Have you been contained for some time? What's up with that? Well, and then so the purchase of your work, like, so
I want to hang
what
one of
what
these prints on my cage.
yeah.
Wait, what?
What was the piece that was purchased? Was it a larger scale painting, or what was? Because I'm thinking like these paintings are probably bigger than him, probably, right? Or,
No, not all my paintings are. I have a
okay,
lot
but
of small ones actually.
oh,
So
okay,
this was
gotcha.
like a 12-inch by 12-inch one.
Okay, perfect.
I think he got it for his room. I think he got it for his birthday or something like that. I don't
That's so
exactly
sick.
remember. Like his parents bought it.
You win.
And what was his reaction? Like when he was interested in it, like did he talk to you at all? Like, or was he just like just
He just wanted to
silently?
look at it mostly and was just like, "Wow, like I want that. Like and that one. Like let's get this."
Wow. So, and then have you stayed in touch with his parents at all, and like kind of like, hey, I have another show, like if you want to bring him by, kind of thing, or is it just kind of you have a show and they just end up showing up, sort of thing?
I need to make sure they're still in touch with me. They should be on
Okay,
my email list. I think we probably need to get back in touch.
for sure.
That's really
Wow,
cool. I
that's
think you win.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really like organically amazing
Hmm.
kind of experience that I feel like a lot of people don't get to have a whole lot.
Mm.
It's like just specifically like just from an age difference perspective, like that's really
Yeah, I mean that was the coolest part of it because it's like when you're at a certain age, you don't have any preconceived notions. It's just totally non-judgmental, like true.
yeah. No, it just is right.
That's what he said. True. Hit you with the 2 chains.
that one, that one right there. That's what I.
Well, that's sick. Thank you for sharing that.
That's
I love
amazing.
it. I think that that's actually amazing and gives me questions, you know?
Yeah, I have
Makes
a
me
lot to
think
think
about
about.
I think in my work kind of like my boyhood joy and wonder is a really important part of why I work in the ways that I work, but I'm also like not making things for that self. I'm not making things like for my mini me who was wondered and enraptured and made joyous uh, by the things that I'm making work out of the interests of, and
Mm.
that's something that I consider a lot is kind of like, we talk to little people as if they're adults, or talk to that like childish part of ourselves as if it needs to like buck up, Sonny, grow up.
Yeah.
Art is for men. Men with Sanders. But like it does come from that place. A lot of the things are in my practice are like a return to sensations that I experienced as in my youth. Things that were kind of integrated. So I think that's like a good place for examination moving forward for us is like, can we make work for, and I'm not saying this is what you were doing, but for me, it makes me think like, can I make work for 8-year-old Rick that he would stop at the art fair and be happy about?
That's a cool thought.
What's that, Jake?
Sorry. I was thinking of SpongeBob. You gotta kick me out, bro. I'm out. I'm not gonna be good for the next 5 minutes. You gotta kick me out.
I don't know where this is coming from.
8-year-old Rick watching SpongeBob, I think, took me there. So oh no, I gotta get out of here. Anyway, sorry, I'm back. I'm right.
All right. Jasmine, thank you for being here. This has been so wonderful and so life-giving.
Thank you guys so much. This has been such a fun conversation, and I feel like I learned things about myself, thought about things in new ways too. And
Good.
it's so nice to have like a comfortable space for people to like get to know me a little bit more, maybe understand things a little bit better, and also have fun.
For sure. I also
Just
love
hop on my list.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, well, if there's anything like you want us to shout out to get out to there, and it's like, well, I think there's like 12 things you could talk about,
Yeah.
which is really cool. So
I would say, yeah, I mean, a main shout out, I guess, is follow my Instagram and just like stop by at my website. Just
perfect.
say hello to it.
Yeah. Do it.
And then we've got your podcast, Archives for Aliens. Go
Mhm.
listen
Oh,
to
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I'm so
then-
excited about that.
Yeah,
I'm on
which
there. So if you want to
Yeah, I was
listen to
gonna say-
Rick being not on the Rick show,
Yeah.
then you go over there and you can hear me do whatever I did on that show, which was strange and awesome.
It was really fun to
Good,
hear
good.
someone else talk to Rick. It was a good time.
Oh, I guess that must have been weird for you. Yeah.
It was a little weird. Like I almost found myself wanting to respond to what Rick had to say. I'm like, Jake, he can't hear you. They can't hear you. So, but now I'm in this room, and so it's worked. I get to ventilate that too as well. So,
Full circle.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
links are in the chat. So
Links in the chat, as always.
just
Wonderful.
click through, tap in. If you're interested in supporting the travel agency, you can check out our various ways of doing that. We're moving to an all donation model moving forward. So we're slowly going to be distancing ourselves from the Amazon Twitch overlord. So yeah, the best way to support us right now is through following our various outlets, subscribing to YouTube, and if it's money, it's donations, and soon we are going to be doing some really cool product-based offerings on Patreon.
Whoa, he
We'll
said
see.
it.
We'll see.
We'll
It's
see.
coming soon. That's going to be a substitute for what Twitch provides.
For sure.
Jake, you got anything you want to plug coming up? Anything going on? Anything new? Anything on your mind?
Yeah, well, I just want to take this moment first and foremost to say thank you, Jasmine. This is really fun. I hope to have you back on the show in some way, if not maybe your own show. I don't know, anything.
Yeah, just do that.
There's too much going on here to contain it to just this one.
Yeah,
one
let's do this
episode,
more.
So let's absolutely continue this. And then for me personally, and as well as the travel agency, I would really implore everyone to join us Thursday evening, February 25th, this coming week. We will have the Pisces edition of Club Stars Align. We'll be breaking it down proper. We will have DJ sets by myself as well as DJ Mix Riss from Boogie Nights of Quarantine. We'll be getting into everything that has to do with Pisces. And that is a show that I co-host with my mom, Denise Hewlett, who is an astrologer and artist herself. So we're as part of the travel agency Artists in Residency. So our next edition is this Thursday. Come check it out.
Yeah, and that's home field advantage for you since you're a Pisces.
Exactly. And oh yeah, did I not mention that? It's going to be my show. It's going to be all about me. So come.
We're going to drink Four Locos.
we're gonna drink Four Locos because it's green, sour green apple Four Locos, and it's gonna be loco. Let me just tell you that.
Jake's
So,
gonna drink one Four Loco for every year he is alive.
oh my god, we're gonna do a loco bang for sure.
God.
A mukbang of Four Locos, and I will die on air. So,
All right. Well, thanks again, Jasmine, and I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot from you everywhere, and hope to see you here more soon.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Another successful transmission from the void. Another successful, yummy, filling art brunch. I know you were hungry, and we fed you. Never forget that. Never for a second